to Major League Baseball, the National Football League, and NASCAR. This is a presentation of Fox Sports.
As the summer heat is turning up, so are the tempers at the track. Spring is turning into summer, and with the mercury rising, tensions also continue to soar.
I'm tired of Joe Nemechek, acting like he doesn't do nothing, and he can take that and show it where the sun don't shine, baby.
Kevin Harvick thinks he owns the world, and he ain't squat. Oh, he's just being an idiot.
Dale Jarrett, the 88, let Parlay no, he does not like what went on right there.
It was just a mistake, Bobby. I just trying to push him down the back straightaway.
He just about turned me into the wall, so I'm not going to put up with that.
Oh, trouble, Jeff Gordon pounds the wall.
I guarantee you next time Tony Stewart's in my way, it won't take but about a half a lap for him to be out of the way.
Jeff's always whining like that, so that's fine. If we can get a car crash and more, it doesn't matter to me.
Say some things. You know you've only got one. Change your ways while you're young.
Hey, get out of the way. Come on, man. What are you doing? Get out of here.
The chase for the Cup is now into June, and every race elevates in importance. So summer loving is going to be hard to find, as NASCAR's long, hot summer has just begun.
Party people all around me feeling hot, hot, hot. What to do on a night like this? Eating swim.
These really are hot times, hot tempers, and a hot battle for NASCAR's championship. Welcome to Pocono, about 100 miles from New York City and Philadelphia, 500 miles from a winner. It's all straight ahead. Glad to have you here for NASCAR on Fox.
Lake, we can hear the race.
I was like, good places as old stations.
500 on Fox. Start of the race here in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Moved up a bit because of the threat of rain. NASCAR President Mike Helton. There's Dale Earnhardt Jr., 15th of the points, looking for that elusive first win of the year. Michael Waltrip on the pole for the first time in 14 years for this race. Brother Darrell, of course, already up in the broadcast booth with Larry Mack and Mike Joy getting ready to call today's race. And we welcome you to the Hollywood Hotel along with Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers. We're trackside where America gathers every weekend for NASCAR. And again, it's warm, it's muggy. The start of the race moved up just a bit because of the threat of rain, but desperate racing today. 2/3 of this field, Jeff, are out of the chase for the points championship. They have serious work to do.
They definitely do, Chris. And when you think about the fact that you got a guy like Michael Waltrip, who's one of those guys trying to get up within that 400-point range with the top 10, he's got his work cut out for him. Scott Riggs, a guy like Brian Vickers, but more importantly, Dale Earnhardt Jr., we saw earlier, he needs to turn it around and turn around in a hurry.
All right, overdrive you'll hear, and the question here today, to shift or not to shift. What's the answer?
I don't think you're going to see a lot of shifting. If a guy gets himself, where the pace itself slows down a lot, now it doesn't mean you can't shift, but without having to overdrive, it's going to be real tricky of when to do it because it can be real hard on the engines.
Now, what does that mean for the people watching the race? We're going to see engines go? Is it going to affect the way guys drive?
I think you're going to see both, Chris, because being able to pass is going to be very difficult, not being able to get a good solid run up off the corner, so you're going to be pushing and shoving, getting down in the corner. And the other thing that's going to happen today, brakes. Brakes are going to be the issue.
All right, no brakes here. Let's check out the point standings. Jimmy Johnson on top again. He's led for the last 10 races, but right now only 13 drivers currently in the Nextel Championship chase. That'll, of course, wind up in the final 10. Those on the outside looking in include Dale Jarrett, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Casey Kane, and those are some impressive names that don't have a lot of time. Remember, the 26 race mark is where you have the cutoff.
Well, we said a little bit earlier, 13 races to go, so it could be a situation whether it's a lucky or unlucky race here today for a lot of these guys.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., maybe still some changes for his
They've got
crew.
work to do. I mean, a lot of teams right now are looking for that little spark. I mean, even like Casey Kane, we see a picture of him right now. These drivers and these crews are looking for something to get their teams back on track so they can make a run and catch up at this really critical point of the season.
Casey Kane, the only pole sitter to win this year, something Michael Waltrip is hoping for. Instead of waiting out the rain as we are, we should get the race in, obviously. You can join in and do what 3 million other people did this week. Can you imagine that? 3 million?
3 million?
3 million.
Hey, that's about 3 million more than you've ever got.
That's right. And I'll tell the IRS. 3 million actually voted on the NASCAR Sexiest. You can cast your vote for NASCAR's Sexiest Driver contest.
Thanks, boys. Well, this thing's gotten bigger than even we could have imagined. And in by far our biggest turnout ever, Dale Earnhardt Jr. becomes the first of our 2 finalists. He just barely beat Dale Jarrett with 50.2% of the vote. Junior will have just one big test left. He'll face the winner of Jeff Gordon versus Elliott Sadler. Can the Virginia cutie upset one of the world's most popular athletes? We'll see. Be sure to vote. It's so simple. Just log on to foxsports.com, powered by MSN. Keyword sexiest. We'll be right back.
Fox welcoming you back to Pocono. No Roush driver has ever won here at this race, but Greg Biffle could do that with his crew chief Doug Rickard. Doug's birthday on Tuesday. Jimmy Johnson swept the Pocono races last year. It's been a record-setting year for caution flags, and for drivers, every weekend has turned into a road game of who's your enemy. The latest episode involved headliners Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart. Let's see if they've gotten over Dover.
Trouble. Jeff Gordon pounds the wall. It looked like the car just got away from Gordon. The car's got a lot of trouble.
I was holding him up. The next time Tony Stewart's in my way, if he doesn't move out of the way immediately, he's going to get the same thing.
Just when you get around Jeff, I guess the rules are different with him. If somebody does something to Jeff, it's always their fault, and we can get a car crash and more. It doesn't matter to me.
We'll hear from both drivers. Steve Burns first with Jeff Gordon.
Thank you, Chris. Jeff, hard feelings after the race. I read this weekend that you and Tony had tried to exchange or had exchanged voice messages. Have you two talked, and where does it stand now?
We briefly saw one other there, driver introductions. I mean, you know, it's one of those situations where we know I have a lot of respect for Tony's talent, and we're going to be racing together for a long time. And, you know, I don't appreciate the things that were said. He probably didn't appreciate the things that are said. And that's just part of it. You know, you got to move on with it. My focus is getting this DuPont Chevrolet to the front here, not what happened last week or the week before that or the week before that. You know, we've had 3 weeks of tough races. We need to get some points. We need a lot of them. And, you know, I hope we can do that. And I think we got a good race car here.
Yeah, you mentioned that, Jeff, from 2nd to 11th in the last 3 weeks. This is a place where you've won. Can you get your luck turned around here?
You know, this is a great racetrack for us. Every race that we go to is a track where we can get it back. We haven't been able to pull that off. So, you know, I'm optimistic because I know how good our race cars are and our race team. And, you know, starting this far back doesn't do us any favors. But I think one of the reasons we're so loose is because we're going to be really good for you know, the race. So we're going to give it our best effort. That's all we can ask for. It's all I ask for out of all these guys. And, you know, let's see where we end up. But I know we're very capable of getting this thing to the front.
Thank you, Jeff. Good luck today. Let's go to Matt Yoakum with Tony Stewart.
Steve, during qualifying, Ryan Newman and Tony Stewart were joking around about possibly you working out a deal for Newman to go to your next charity race at Eldora. So things look square there with Newman. What about Jeff Gordon?
Yeah, we may even see if we can talk Jeff into it. I don't know. He hasn't been to a dirt track in a race car in a long time, so I don't know if we can get him talked into it or not. But it's been a good week. Talked to Jeff, or I left Jeff messages Monday and Tuesday. He left me messages on Wednesday and Thursday, so we played phone tag, but we finally got together here, talked to each other, driver intros a little bit, and at the drivers' meeting. So everything's good there. The thing that bothers you the most about it is that the media keeps blowing it out of proportion and making more out of it than there really is. So they want to be able to talk to us right after we get out of the cars, but at the same time, then they want to drag it out and keep things going on that aren't really of any substance.
Well, how do you size up today? You've won here before, but this is a whole different package.
Yeah, it is. We really were in bad shape on Friday, and Zippy did an awesome job. You know, the hard thing is I don't really know what I've got for today. I mean, we qualified yesterday. The one lap I ran, I was really, really loose. So I think that he found some things that definitely made the car better. It's just a matter of now, instead of having that practice time that we had on Friday, we're going to be taking the first half of the race just to try to get the car dialed in. So, but I feel like after what we did yesterday in qualifying, I feel like we got something we can work with. It's just a matter of, you know, every time the caution comes out, you're going to see us on pit lane making adjustments.
Another variable to work in, too, Chris Myers, is the fact that the weather, it's the hottest it's been all weekend. Every session on the racetrack, the weather has been different.
And he's still not sweating.
All right, thanks, thanks, Matt, and Tony, the media, thanks you. All right, so who's a better driver here, pure driver, Tony Stewart or Jeff Gordon?
Chris, I really think that Tony Stewart is more of a pure type of racer. I think he can win in any kind of car, dirt, open wheel. It doesn't make any difference. He's shown me he can go out and win. Now, on the other hand, I think Jeff Gordon is a more pure stock car driver. Both these guys are great in their own right, but I think Tony's more of a versatile driver.
Tony could take my son's big wheel and go.
And he'll go win with it.
That's
yes.
right. All right, so how about Gordon here? Bigger concern is 3 straight races. The last 3 he's failed to finish those races.
Yeah, I think he kind of touched on it, Chris. Big picture racing right now by Jeff Gordon. He realizes he's outside the top 10. He wants to get back up there. He wants to get back up to the form he's used to be, where he can run up front and win races. And he knows that he can't be having a feud with another guy that he's going to have to race against the rest of the season.
And again, at this moment, he would start 43rd. He was already, he hit the wall in qualifying, but he already got moved back for other problems.
Yeah, Robbie Loomis right there made some repairs to the car. Good move on their part since they were so far back.
Counting it down to the race here at Pocono, we invite fans to participate in the singular virtual crew chief during the race. Stay tuned for details on how to play. Watch for your chance to drive away on your own singular 31 car. Later, Dale Earnhardt Jr. will go 10 laps with him. We'll also hear from Greg Biffle. NASCAR on Fox from Pocono continues in a moment. Part of the Golden Knights parachute crew. Pre-race festivities here in Pocono. Welcome back on our pre-race program. Kurt Busch supposed to start on the front row, but moved to the back because of an unapproved adjustment. Kyle Busch, his brother, also has been moved back. We mentioned Jeff Gordon as well. And Ryan Newman starts from row 9. This marks the end of his streak of 20 consecutive races starting in the top 10.
And Chris, I do want to say one thing. That's additional work beyond the impound proceedings as far
That's
as
why they had to
make the move to the back. Yes.
All right, Carl Edwards, leader in the Busch Series, trying to stay in the hunt here in the Cup Series, right? Left early, rainy Nashville to get here. A little pressure on him, a little uncomfortable.
A lot of pressure right here, because this is the first time he's ever raced here at Pocono. And he may be faced also with an opportunity. We see a picture of his teammate Greg Biffle, who also was, I think, wanted to go over and race, but had to give it up because of the rain. But they may get a chance to go back. Still raining in Nashville right now.
A couple of crew chief changes. Jason Leffler and Scott Riggs, new crew chiefs for this race.
Made some changes. I got a chance to talk to Scott Riggs about that. He was real excited. This gentleman's worked as their car chief. Doug Randolph is going to stay on as like a manager. They feel like they've got some benefits from that already. Mike Ford, formerly with Robert Yates Racing, moving over to Jason Leffler. He's been there before with Joe Gibbs. So all these things are positive moves to try to pick these teams up.
Shakeups already, 13 races in. Last week's winner, Greg Biffle, has won nearly a third of the races this year already. Currently second in the points. He's on track to become the first driver ever to win the Truck, Busch, and Cup championships. The driver of the Subway National Guard car has every other driver with their guard up.
Biffle gets behind the wheel of a race car, he's going to make it go fast.
Look at Biffle. He is so aggressive.
I've been watching Biffle, and I'll tell you, he is not slowing down one bit.
The way our performance was at the end of the season, I felt like we could win 3 to 5 races this season, but to win 4 in the first 14 races of the season, we're pretty surprised as a team that we've come that far. Being second, we're certainly pleased with that. We'd certainly like to lead before the chase starts at some point, but we wouldn't be disappointed if we didn't ever get a chance to. We just want to be leading those last couple races. My attitude hasn't changed. I'm still, I still approach every race the same way. Everybody on the team works as hard as I do, and that's what I enjoy is working with a group of guys that will work and put in the effort that they do to win a race. A lot more people recognize me, away from the track, at the track, the souvenir trailer. All the people, when I'm riding out there on my golf cart or whatever, are like yelling, "Hey, Biffle, Biffle." And a lot of people are recognizing the success we're having. And it's a lot of fun for me. I enjoy that. And I love to interact with the race fans. It's so amazing. Every racetrack we go to, I probably meet at least a minimum of 50 to 100 75 soldiers a weekend, whether it's a souvenir trailer, in the garage area. It's just amazing the kind of stories of support that our team gets. And all of my team guys feel like they represent a part of the National Guard. And as a whole, the team, we feel like we carry the flag every week.
Biffle has proven he can win a championship in other series, Jeff, but what'll be different about actually not winning races but winning the Cup championship for him?
This is the longest and probably most grueling championship there is as far as I'm concerned. All the pressure from all the different competitors you've got to race against. And the fact that he's winning races, though, I think has helped his momentum, got his confidence up. And along with his veteran crew chief, Doug Richard, I think they have got a combination that's going to be hard to reckon with by the end of the year.
How about Dale Earnhardt Jr., his momentum? 4 top 10 finishes here in 10 races, still no wins this year.
Well, that's what we're talking about right now. He doesn't have any wins. Even though he comes to a racetrack he has run well at, he's also went to racetracks he'd won at earlier this season. He hasn't been able to get it on track. So I don't think today's going to be any different. He's going to have his work cut out.
And why is this such a tough track to come from the back of the pack and win?
Well, it's not many places to pass, and when you throw the fact they don't have shifting this time where you can get a little bit of advantage or take advantage of certain situations we're here on this racetrack, it's going to be difficult for these drivers to do that, and they're going to learn how to basically pass once again. 500
miles. We've had cautions before here in Pocono for deer on the track, rabbit, even a turkey. I'm not going to say anything. All right, we'll get you ready for the race from Pocono in just a moment.
Welcome back to Pocono, where we're on a hurry-up format. Showers advancing into the area, so we're getting set to get things started on one of NASCAR's most unique speedways.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the invocation by Father Dan Bitsko, and please remain standing for the singing of our national anthem by the U.S. Army Chorus.
Let us pray. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us exalt and rejoice in it. We thank you for the Mattioti family, for the entire Pocono staff, for the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series, for affording this opportunity to rejoice today. Bless and protect our drivers and their crews. Grant safety to all our track officials. And dear Lord, watch over our armed forces who are in harm's way. And last of all, bless all our fans with peace, health, and happiness. Amen.
The U.S. Army Chorus with our national anthem. Greg Biffle gives his girlfriend Nicole a kiss and hops aboard in pursuit of Jimmy Johnson's point standing lead. And what a roll Biffle is on. 4 wins this season, 5 top 5s, 9 top 10s against those goose eggs a season ago. He is second in the standings, 25th at this point last year. That's big time. So Jimmy Johnson's lead cut to just 46 points over Biffle. Elliott Sadler, Ryan Newman, well within striking distance. Then Tony Stewart. Last full season veterans Mark Martin and Rusty Wallace well up in the top 10. And to make the chase for the Nextel Cup, you've got to be within 400 points of the leader. That's where Jamie McMurray is. And right now we're Dale Jarrett, and Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Burton, Michael Waltrip, and all are not. The A-10s fly low over Pocono as we edge closer to race time. A sold-out grandstand and a packed infield to greet the Nextel Cup drivers as they race 500 miles on this very unique three-cornered, 3 different length straightaway, 2.5 mile super speedway. Here's Matt Yoakum.
Mike, 6 times Mark Martin has finished second here at Pocono, has never won. In fact, he almost won this race last fall. Now, Mark has been fighting a braking issue much of the weekend. In fact, during qualifying on Saturday, he told his crew chief, Pat Trison, it feels similar to the same pedal feel that he had at Phoenix. He finished 16th there. I spoke with Pat Trison. He says they're expecting a little more brake wear here this weekend than normal, but he feels like they're going to be okay. Steve?
Well, Matt, this is a good racetrack for Bobby Labonte. He has 3 wins here. He was 3rd in this race a year ago. Qualified in the top 10 for this race. He just told me they have changed the setup on this race car, so they're not really sure what they're going to have during the race. But again, a good racetrack for Bobby Labonte.
And look at the sweat on the faces of all of these drivers as they strap in. They've been standing out in what has to be described as sweltering heat through the opening ceremonies, the anthem and all, and now in those triple layer fire suits get to climb aboard inside the oven where temperatures will hit 130 plus degrees inside the cockpit of those cars and race 500 miles. Last week at Dover, a 400-mile race in similar heat, but the humidity here at Pocono can be described as stifling. It has got to be up near to 80% here at race time, and there's thunderstorms on the way. It's 83 degrees here with track temperatures above 110, and the humidity borders on unbearable. Once those engines fire up, hopefully that'll all be forgotten. The fans with plenty of liquid refreshment, hopefully the drivers and crews as well, as we get set to go racing in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania. Let's go trackside.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those most famous words in motorsports, Joint Military Service Generals, Air Force General Wecom, Army General Thrasher, National Guard General Craig, and National Guard General Beck. Start your engine!
A lot more stars represented in that command than we could muster up here in the booth, but we're ready to call this race for you at NASCAR's most unique track. Hi, everybody. Mike Joy with Larry McReynolds and Darrell Waltrip, who's won here 4 times for 3 different owners. And you've run here shifting every lap and not shifting every lap, staying in high gear, which is what most drivers will do today. Which do you like better and why?
Well, it's easiest not to shift. And quite honestly, a lot of drivers are not good at multitasking. And shifting 2 or 3 times around this track is multitasking. I think that's why we're going to see the best race we've seen here in a long time. Everybody's saying, oh, it's hard to pass. That's what these guys wanted. They wanted it to be hard to pass. I think you're going to see a great race. Pit strategy is going to be important. Fuel mileage, just like always, it's going to be exciting.
Larry, on this racetrack, because if you get the track right for one corner, you get the car right, you're going to have to compromise the other 2. What effect will the impound rule play on these cars today?
Well, I think it's already played a role. We saw some ill-handling race cars in qualifying yesterday, and like you heard Tony Stewart say, he will probably spend half the race just getting that car adjusted. Now, the hopes is that they were ill-handling when they were in qualifying trim. When they untape these cars, that they will drive good. But I think the biggest story is going to be watching most of our points leader come from way back in the field, because their cars did not drive very good. Jimmy Johnson, Greg Biffle starting deep in the field, and Jeff Gordon all the way to the rear because he actually hit the wall qualifying.
Let's go back down to the starting grid and the executive editor of Speedway Illustrated, Dick Berggren.
Well, Kurt Busch has had a roller coaster season for sure. Seems like he either finishes up front or something goes wrong in the race and he's way out back at the checkered flag. Pocono's been a lot like that for him as well. In his last 6 starts here, Busch has 3 top 5s and 3 DNFs. Didn't finish the race at all. Looked like this was going to be one of those really good weekends for Busch. Qualified second here at Pocono. His best qualifying effort ever. But this morning when the crew walked into the garage and looked at the car, they discovered a puddle of brake fluid underneath it. An O-ring in the master cylinder had failed. They fixed it, but because this is an impound race, they weren't allowed to without moving the car all the way to the back. So Busch is going to have to start at the tail end of the field. And if Jeff Hammond has already explained, passing here is going to be quite the challenge. He's got his work cut out for him, Mike.
Somewhat remarkably, Dick, his and Mark Martin's car owner Jack Roush has never won here at Pocono. Roush has 11 second-place finishes here, but has never yet visited Victory Lane. Pace laps have begun at Pocono, Pennsylvania, where uniquely 200 laps is 600 corners. For how they'll tackle the uniqueness of this track, let's get out of our Ford Cutaway car. Chris and Jeff.
Thanks, Mike. NASCAR said no to overdrive, Jeff. Well, what does that do to the engines in today's race?
Well, Chris, with overdrive, what the crews could do, they could run a little bit lower gear to get up off like the tunnel turn in turn 3 and save the RPMs in the engine going down this long straightaway, because when you shift it into high gear and the overdrive, it allowed the engine right there to save the RPM down the straightaway. It made the drive shaft turn a lot faster than what the engine was, and that was making NASCAR real nervous, so they did away with overdrive.
Safety issue in the last 2 races, 12 engine failures. Could see more today. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been able to keep running at the end of every race that he's run here at Pocono, but he wants to do more than just finish. He wants to win. At this point last year, he was the points leader. He's only led 5 laps so far this season. He went 10 laps with me, showed us he's the same old junior.
If you had to have a 9-to-5 job that had nothing to do with racing, what do you think you could do?
Be I don't know, be a drummer for a rock band or something.
All right, 9 to 5. You'd have to have a weird concert schedule. How about celebrity you'd most like to meet?
Tom Hanks.
Why is that?
Just a big fan. Thought he does a good job.
What's your greatest fear?
You know, I want to have a family and have a son one day, and I fear that might not happen.
Tell us something about yourself that people don't know that they probably should know if they would have a chance to sit down and talk with you.
That I don't like it when people use racial slurs around me. That's something a lot of people don't know.
Okay, quick, a little fun thing to wrap up here. A word association. We'll start with easy one. Music.
3 Doors Down.
Beach.
Sand.
Vacation.
Hawaii.
Champion.
Spark plugs.
Bowling.
Strikes.
Junior.
Cheeseburger.
Good.
Junior cheeseburger. I'm not sure about that last one, but
he's obviously working on a deal.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It's got to be a deal of some kind.
Budweiser, official beer of NASCAR, proud sponsor of the Budweiser Pull Award, given to the fastest qualifier at each NASCAR Nextel Cup Series race. For the first time in the last 459 races, Michael Waltrip is our Bud Pull winner, and here are the drivers he will join in the Budweiser Shootout of 2006. If you look at our starting lineup for today's Pocono 500, presented on Fox by Subway with Michael Waltrip and Kurt Busch, the front row qualifiers. And as you look at the starting lineup, Dick Berggren.
Well, Dale Jarrett has not won a points-paying race since February of 2003, but he is ever so good here at Pocono. In 6 out of the last 8 June races here, Jarrett has finished in the top 3. He has a new crew chief in Billy Wilburn, and they have really clicked. He has a new race car that he likes a whole bunch. And his pit crew, they're as good as anybody on pit road. Could be an upset with car 88 today. Steve Burns.
Well, Dick, Jimmy Johnson took the broom to Pocono a year ago, winning both races, leading 250 out of 400 laps at this racetrack. But he's another driver who's unsure of the car that's underneath of him today. He said, Steve, I had a smile on my face Friday, had a frown yesterday. I'm not sure what to expect today. Matt Yocum.
Greg Biffle has 4 wins this season. One of those victories, Texas, he started at the back. Today he rolls off 23rd, but he is just as concerned. In fact, he told me on his way to driver intros, his stomach was all knotted up, starting so far in the back, knowing how difficult it will be to pass today. But then he said, you know what? I have a horse under me today. Keep an eye on the 16. I'll be going to the front. I just don't know how long it'll take to get there. Mike?
Thanks, Matt. You see veterans like Jeff Gordon and Ricky Rudd way at the back with Biffle, Earnhardt Jr., and the drivers who had to go to the back for unapproved repairs or adjustments after the impound procedure. So there's our pole sitter, Michael Waltrip.
And Larry, I know we got a little thing we do every race, you know, when we start the race and all, but I want to tell you, when you're in the stands, when these cars come off of turn 3 here, turn 4, and take that green flag, I don't think there's a more exciting moment in all of sports than when 43 of these bad boys come down through here digging, getting up to speed.
Especially on this front straightaway that's longer than most runways you land your airplane at.
You can watch them coming, and you can watch them for a long time going.
3 different lengths straightaways, 3 different radius turns, 3 different bankings. The art of compromise is the art of winning here at Pocono. David Akers, the Eagles kicker, is going to wave the green flag with his hand, yes, as we get set to start.
Well, DW, like Mike Joyce said, 200 laps, 500 miles, 600 corners. Best advice I can get you, reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Michael Waltrip unable to fight off McMurray, who moved up to the front row, and Kurt Busch had to go to the back for a brake system repair.
Wow.
3 wide, 4 wide. Wow.
Big move by Harvick down into turn 2.
But let me tell you something about Jamie McMurray in that 42 car. I guarantee you he is bending that floor pan. He has not let a lap this year yet.
And I'll tell you the other thing, when you're the pole sitter, you want to be sure you lead that first lap. You don't want anybody to say, oh, he wasn't that good, got a lucky lap.
That's your first best chance to lead all day. Michael has the steam off turn 3, and there are only 3 corners here. Waltrip leads the first lap from Harvick, McMurray, Vickers, and Mayfield.
But what a move by Kevin Harvick in the 29 car. Started 8th. He's already up to 2nd. I know he felt so good about his car in practice on Friday.
Yeah, and with the gear ratio that they're pulling here this time, when you can get off the corner, you're going to get a really good run down that straightaway with a lot of draft. And guys keep saying, oh, it's going to be hard to pass. It's going to be hard to. It's always hard to pass here. I don't care how many gears you got.
Yeah, you can run 3, 4, 5 wide down the straightaways. You better not be more than about 2 wide through the corners. And then that can still be treacherous.
And you can hear the engine, Larry. I mean, the 8 car there, the sound out of it, they're lugging pretty hard.Ey're not turning that 10 grand 9,500 like we hear a lot of weekends.
See that black 0 car right there, Mike Bliss had a great qualifying run yesterday. He's qualified 9th. We anticipate, after having hernia surgery on Monday, when we get the first caution, that Brendan Gaughan will get in that race car. But Darrell, I'd say if that car is running as good as it looks, Mike's going to have a tough time getting out of that race car.
Yeah, but you know here, Larry, it's probably going to get to him after a while because this track is rough. It's really bumpy, and right there where they are now, that's a huge big patch that's been put in the track, and the guys say that that'll knock the wheels off the ground right there. So he's going to get beaten around a good bit in there. He's going to want out of that car after a while.
Like Mike Joy pointed out, it is hot here today.
And I know, you know, surgery's surgery. He must have had to have some anesthesia, so that takes its toll on you too as far as physical condition is concerned.
Let's go back to where Kurt Busch has worked his way up to 33rd among this pack, along with Jeff Gordon, who is 35th, and Elliott Sadler and Kyle Busch.
I'll tell you what, though, Elliott Sadler in the 38 car, he is backsliding just a little bit. He started back in the 25th position. He's already went back to 33rd.
But Darrell, isn't one of the good things about this track is You got a long way to go, but you've got all day to get there, and this track is so wide, you've got a lot of room to work with.
Yeah, the one thing, though, that you really fight here is if you lose sight of the leader here, man, he gets gone on you, and you don't know where he is because the track is so big. It's hard to keep digging here all day long. When you lose touch with that lead group up there, sometimes you got to rely on the crew to tell you where they are because you can't see them. The only good thing about this joint is it's hard to go a lap down here. I mean, you know, you got such a big racetrack.
Jimmy Johnson moving up in the lows 48. He just passed Mark Martin. Mark trying to repass him as they race for 18th behind Jeff Burton.
You can hear Jeff Burton already only 4 laps into this race having to really play with that throttle off the corner. He's going to pay the price to Mark Martin in the 6th as well as to Jimmy Johnson in the 48.
Yeah, when you had to pedal it that much up off a turn, you're losing a lot of momentum. You're going to get sacked up pretty good.
Time for a singular virtual crew chief. To vote, text the word crew to 191 on your singular wireless phone or go to foxsports.com and be entered for a chance to drive away in your own singular 31 car. Will we break the track record for cautions today? It'll take 13 to do it.
Pretty impressed with these boys, though, last week at Dover. Only 7 cautions, and 4 of those cautions were for debris, and we ran the last 120 or so laps without a caution.
Usually it gets so strung out here. I mean, it really does. Under any circumstances, it's not a lot of multi-car crashes.
And now just watching the scoring monitor, Kevin Harvick in the 29 running in 2nd. He's about 2 tenths quicker than Michael Waltrip, our leader in the 15.
Yeah, he's reeling him in just a little bit at a time.
Now here's Sterling Marlin in the 40 who has to skip the Busch race today, rained out to today. And you will see that race later on today after the conclusion of this one. That'll be over on FX. Carl Edwards and Marlin both had to miss it to be here at Pocono.
It's got to feel good for Tony Jr., Tony Eury Jr., and that whole crowd, and Michael sitting up there leading this race from the pole. I know he's happy he's not back in this crowd right here.
This is 28th on back from Dale Jr. on back, and a lot of good cars back there.
It really is. Carl Edwards in there, Jeff Gordon up ahead. Carl was really good in practice. I look for him to be somebody that'll get up near the front for the day's over. There's Kyle Busch, had a great run last week at Dover. And Elliott Sadler, who was backsliding.
And the thing about Carl Edwards in the 99 car, he had never seen this racetrack until he walked in here on Friday morning.
Yeah, Carl probably said, I never would have shifted here. I don't think that's a good thing to do.
Meanwhile, up front, Michael Waltrip holding Kevin Harvick at bay by just about half a second, Matt.
8 laps in the book, and Michael Waltrip hasn't said anything on the radio, but DW, he told me yesterday that he came into Pocono with a completely different attitude because Michael knew he would not have to shift here. He said, I had such a positive outlook coming in, and he thinks that was a difference as well to getting that pole.
Yeah, you just work on your car. You make your car do whatever. If you can't shift, you work on the car.
And what's neat, that's a brand new race car they brought here, untested. The first time it had seen the racetrack was when they unloaded Friday morning.
It's a brand new car that Tony Sr. and them have been working on back at the fab shop. They better build a whole bunch more of those.
Looking outside the top 10, Greg Biffle up to 24th position. Jeff Gordon up to 28th, just ahead of Kurt Busch.
The Pocono 500 on Fox is presented by Subway. Experience the great taste of a fresh toasted sub today. Subway, eat fresh. And brought to you by America Online. Want a better internet? You belong in America Online. By Armor All, it's strong protection. And by Home Depot, NASCAR's home improvement warehouse. 10 laps with Michael Waltrip. He's leading 10 laps, making 11 into this race. 3 Chevys, Harvick, Vickers following him. And for 80 years, one of America's most recognizable images, the Goodyear blimp floating overhead, providing these aerial views, reminding you to travel with peace of mind on Goodyear's new Assurance tires. Jeff Hammond, as we look at some headliners back of the pack, at least starting the race. Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah, they're making their way up toward the front, believe it or not. Jeff Gordon has already climbed from his 43rd starting position because of the damage on his car. They did elect to do some extra work, so he started 43rd. He's up to 27th right now, and they've got a a good march at the front, but right now the battle for fifth is pretty tight. Let's take a look at Jamie McMurray. He's being pursued there by the 17 car Matt Kenseth, and Matt is really putting some pressure on him.
Kenseth, the highest Ford at the moment, running 6th. And let's go back upstairs to Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Kenseth had a strong qualifying run. His qualifying has really picked up of late, and Jamie McMurray has been a top 5 car all day. Also, Greg Biffle, Kenseth's teammate, is about to bust into the top 20. Let's go down to the 17 pit, and Matt.
Now, Matt Kenseth, one of 9 drivers who won a race in 2004, yet to win in 2005. Now, Matt, he was telling Robbie Reiser, the car is pretty decent, but at this juncture, it is just impossible to pass.
But he's definitely the only Ford right now in the top 10, Matt Kenseth in the 17.
Michael Waltrip, Darrell's younger brother, has begun to stretch it out on Kevin Harvick. He's got a 2-second lead now.
I know why, Mike. Look how high. He loves to run that high groove. He's running really high in the turns 3 and down here in turns 1. Turn 1, Harvick's still hugging the bottom. But what's the difference in their lines as they come down here to turn 1? Now, Michael, he'll be high, wide, and handsome. He'll like me saying that. He goes up the hill.
Especially the handsome part.
Now, Harvick's doing the same thing. He's kind of mirroring what Michael's doing on this end of the track. It's turn 3 where there really is a big difference.
But, Darrell, I would have to feel like one of the reasons that would help is you're not in 3rd gear to pull you off the corner, so you run the high line that keeps the RPMs up there.
Yeah.
And bog you down as bad.
There's always a little extra grip up there, too, as long as you don't go over the cushion, as they say.
Now, what I see there, Darrell, at the tunnel turn and at turn 3 is that Harvick is taking an earlier turn into the corner. He's turning down in sooner than Michael, who's keeping his car out to the outside longer.
Yeah, you see how low Harvick is right there around the inside, which is our traditional line around here. Michael is way out there. You see him come off turn 3 there.
And he's picking up about 0.2 of a second as he does so. Brian Vickers in 3rd, qualified really strong and having a very good run, picking up after Dover and trying to silence some of his critics. Doing a good job of it.
I tell you, a car, he's maybe not as quick as Michael Waltrip right now, our leader, but he's about as quick as any car. Ryan Newman in that 12 car started back in 17th position. He was lucky just to complete the qualifying run yesterday. Ended a string of 20 consecutive top 10 finishes, but now he's battling Bobby Labonte in the 18 to move in the top 10.
Now, Newman on his qualifying lap took it too hard into turn number 1. The car didn't stick, and that was why that string ended. He makes the pass on Bobby Labonte. For more on the green 18, here's Steve.
Well, Mike, right before the race, Bobby Labonte said he wasn't really sure what the car was going to do once the race started. The early answer is it is tight. He said the car feels like it's dragging the left front tire from the center to the middle off.
And Steve, being tight here is not good, especially like we were talking a while ago. These engines are bogging off the corner, not being able to go back to 3rd gear. And the nature of this place, it just gets tighter and tighter as the race goes on and as you get into a run.
I'll tell you right now, Michael's beating these guys about 0.4 a lap.
Sterling Marlin has moved up to 9th, right on the deck lid of Rusty Wallace.
And Rusty in the 2 car, he had been making some moves to the front. Sterling started back in 14th, and as you say, now he's battling Rusty for 8th.
I don't know, I just get a feeling that Mark Martin and Dale Jarrett will be there in a second. And Schrader, and we'll have all of the 46 and up crowd right together, and most importantly, in contention.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. They're very competitive this year. That's exciting. There goes Sterling by Russell, and Sterling's old car is working pretty well right now. Got it going good, Glove.
The biggest thing.
Halfway on tires, halfway.
And what that means right there, as we saw in the graphic at the beginning of the race, the fuel run is roughly about 34 to 38 laps. That was lap 16. So what he's telling Sterling, you know what you have felt in the first half of this run. We're halfway to we'll make a green flag pit stop should we not get a caution. But Sterling just needs to see the checkered flag with a decent finish because he's 23rd in the points. 6 races ago, he was 6th.
It just seems to go that way this year, Larry. You got so many people so close together that if you stumble from one week to the next, you go backwards.
Take a look at Michael Waltrip's lead interval, and let's see how he's gaining it here. He's up 3.16 on Harvick, and he's been the quickest car the last couple of laps. Here are speeds at the line. And yes, there is a difference.
About a mile an hour. It's it's been as much as 5/10 on the clock.
See right there, though, Brian Vickers, our third place car, after qualifying third, had the second quickest speed at the line, the start-finish line.
How about that second place car backing up just a little bit, Dick Bergman?
Well, he did real well at the drop of the green flag, Mike. Harvick started in 8th position and quickly moved to the 2nd spot. He's been there ever since. But the reason he's dropping back, he called the crew on the radio, told them that the car is tight in the middle and loose off. So his car is not handling as well as he might like. They will surely adjust it on the first pit stop.
You know, Mike, one of the things I noticed about that 29 car, you fans can watch it too, it hops a lot. Does a lot of hopping around, a lot of bouncing. Now that car's got an aggressive shock package on. That's going to make it fast for a few laps, but it's going to make those tires mad quicker than somebody's car that's not doing that.
Especially those front tires.
Michael Waltrip out in front now by almost 5 full seconds over Kevin Harvick. He is shooting around this track almost at the speed of sound. Second place changes hands on this lap as Michael Waltrip's lead is now bulged out to 7 seconds. There he goes past start finish. Here comes the new second place car, Brian Vickers, with Kevin Harvick now trying to hold off Jeremy Mayfield, who at 4th place is the highest Dodge in the race. The highest Ford is Matt Kenseth in 6th.
I tell you what, if you take the month of May and part of June, I'd have to say one of the most improved teams and drivers would be Brian Vickers in that 25 car. Finished 6th at Dover last week. So strong at Lowe's Motor Speedway, top 5 at Phoenix, just keeps getting better. He just drives away from Mayfield and Harvick.
Yeah, I think Harvick's car's really gone bad. I don't know if it's pushing or loose. I got to believe it's just sliding the front tires. He's having a tough time keeping up now.
We're still about 10, 12, 14 laps away from what would be their first green flag pit stop should we not get a caution.
I'd say that some of them will come early, Larry, particularly if your car's not very good and you want to try to get out of all that mess.
And we're told that car on the left of your screen is one of them. Jeff Gordon may pit early.
Here you can short pit. You're not going to lose a lap.
But Gordon told us earlier he really likes racing at Pocono.
It's definitely a fun racetrack to drive on, you know, because you have 3 corners that challenge you, and you're constantly trying to you know, compromise how you drive the car versus how the car is set up, and you know you're really in a lot of communication with the team, because once you hit one, then all of a sudden one of the other corners goes away on you. You go, okay, we've hit this one, but now we got to work on this one a little bit more. And you know, I like tracks that challenge me, and I think we excel at those types of racetracks. You know, and we treat it a little bit more like a road course than we would a normal oval, and makes it a lot of fun from a driver's standpoint.
I think one of the things that's making them make this stop a little early, Larry, is how fast the 15 is. I mean, he's going to put these guys in jeopardy of being a lap down here before too terribly long.
And you know, if you're not too far behind the leader here, with it taking about 56 or 57 seconds to get around here, you can make a green flag stop if you're close enough to the leader and still stay on the lead lap or in touch with the leader.
I think that's what's happening here. He's digging a big hole here, and he wants to try to get out of it if he can.
Elliott Sadler moves up past Joe Nemechek to 24th position, Matt.
Not much of a game, Mike. He qualified 25th. He is up to 24th. Elliott reports to his team the car is just sliding the nose. It won't turn when he needs it to in the corner. Now, the long front straightaway is 3,740 feet long. Now, spotter Brett Griffin high atop the spotter stand. All the spotters lean up against the rail, especially when the cars go by heading down into turn 1. So he brought a stool. That way, when everybody leans forward, he can just look up over their heads and keep an eye on Elliott as he goes off into that turn 1.
But it is so far to that turn 2 from the spotter stand. It's about a mile over there to that turn.
Yeah, the guys up on the roof here, I talked to them before we come on the air, and they said they have trouble seeing the cars as they go down into turn 1 and off at turn 2 that the driver's almost on his own.
They're driving away from the spotter. We used to actually put a spotter down there in the infield close to turn 1, DW.
Yeah, and we used to put one across the short chute. I mean, we treated this a lot like a road course.
Michael Waltrip is driving it like he stole it after winning his first pole in 459 races. Waltrip has opened up an 8.6-second lead, and he has almost led as many laps today as in his entire Cup career at this racetrack.
And I tell you what, you take out a couple of blown motors and a couple of wrecks that were not of his own making, and he'd be right there in the top 10.
There is the gap back to Brian Vickers, Jeremy Mayfield, and Kevin Harvick, who ran most of this race so far in second place. Dick?
Well, Michael Waltrip may be driving it as if he stole it, but Happy Harvick is driving it as if he has a dump truck on his hands. The car is really pushing, Mike. Said going into the corners is just almost unmerciful. So they're looking to pit around lap 31, and they'll fix that with air pressure and adjusting the car as well. Steve?
Well, Dick, Brian Vickers up into second place about 5 laps ago. He told crew chief Lance McGrew that his car, the 25 car, was just a little bit loose, but they also told him that he was 2/10 of a second a lap quicker than Kevin Harvick, and he went up past the 29. Now he's behind Michael Waltrip. Matt?
Today starts the second half of the race to the chase. Now back at Charlotte, Michael Waltrip lost 125 points to Jimmy Johnson. He was within that 400-point window. Now he's on the outside looking, and they know every race is vital. Tony Eury Jr. just told Michael a few laps ago, you have pulled it out to over 8 seconds over second place. The only thing Michael said on the radio today was a response to Tony Jr. He said, that's cool.
Thanks, Matt. Jamie McMurray just passed Kevin Harvick, and that will change 4th place.
You know, I know it's a new car for Michael Waltrip, DW, but remember where he was so strong just a few weeks ago. Another flat racetrack, Phoenix, Arizona. Looks like they picked up right here at this flat racetrack.
And I think if you think back to Dale Jr., he's just been the opposite. He's had struggled on some of these fast, flat racetracks.
2 cars in the garage, Morgan Shepherd and Greg Sachs. Michael Waltrip beginning to lap cars. This is Kevin LePage that he is going past. Michael Waltrip has started from the pole. He has led all 28 laps so far in Pocono. Kurt Busch got loose and spun, collecting Terry Labonte. Both have made it back around to their pit. Caution is out to the leader's pit. Matt.
Michael Waltrip in. He told Tony Eury Jr. the car, if anything, is a little on the free side, but he expects it to tighten up. No changes for Waltrip. A little slow in the left rear, and he's down and away. Dick?
Kevin Harvick pits out of 5th position. He has stopped well back in his pit box, and there's a tire loose on pit road. They caught it. Steve?
Brian Vickers saying that his car is needing an adjustment. They made a track bar adjustment and an air pressure adjustment. And driver change on the 0 car. As I said in the pre-race show there, you see Mike Bliss getting out of the 0 car. Brendan Gaughan will get in that race car and head back onto the racetrack. They'll try not to lose a lap in the process.
Steve, I'm told Bliss wanted to stay in the car, run the race today, but looking at the bigger picture, they wanted him out of the car so he can have a quick full recovery. Here's what happened to Kurt Busch to bring out this caution.
Yeah, they went down into turn 1 side by side. It sucked Kurt's car around. He would have wrecked, been into the wall if it hadn't been for Terry Labonte. So he owes Terry a little thank you here. Watch this. Around she comes, and if Terry's not there, up she goes. Both guys did an incredible job of saving their cars, but Larry, what that tells me is they're just not going that fast through the center of that corner to be able to slow them down and save them that way.
I'm going to tell you what, lucky Terry Labonte did not snatch it back into the wall right there.
The Pocono 500 on Fox, presented by Subway, is brought to you by the next Ford F-150, built Ford tough. With Jeff Hammond, Kurt Busch another spin, and not necessarily in terms of Terry Labonte saving him. He was adjusting rather well after losing it.
I'll tell you right now, both those guys did an outstanding job, but I guarantee you when Terry saw him coming up, he was sure drawing up because his 44 car almost went up in the wall, but now they both get an opportunity to come down pit road, make recoveries, but Michael Waltrip outstanding run by him.
Has led all the way from the pole, his first pole in 457 races, entering this one under our first caution. We'll continue from Long Pond, Pennsylvania, the Pocono 500 on Fox. The Pocono 500 on play is brought to you by Nextel. Go to foxsports.com to find out how you can be the Nextel Fan of the Week.
We're at the Nextel Experience to meet the Nextel Fan of the Week, Karen Trebuzza, who is a 4th grade teacher at the Stroudsburg area schools, who has managed to combine her 2 favorite passions, teaching and NASCAR. How'd you do that?
Well, we follow the races from track to track, and we learn the states and the cities that the races are in, and any of the bodies of waters and mountain ranges that the drivers fly over to get there.
And brought 2 of your students with you.
Corey Cook and Ryan Mosteller.
Well, congratulations. Welcome to Pocono.
If you'd like to be the Nextel Fan of the Week, go to foxsports.com/Nextel and enter today. Caution flag out for Kurt Busch's spin, which looked much like his spin early in the Cook 600 at Charlotte. So now after pit stops are done, Mike Wallace stayed out to lead a lap. He has since pitted in the Lucas Oil number 4. So Brian Vickers, after a great run at Dover, a strong qualifying effort here, and a quick pit stop by Lance McGrew and the crew, and the number 1 pit stall, Vickers beat everybody off pit road. He's our leader.
Just quickly, I think one of the reasons that Mike Bliss and them decided to do the surgery and the driver change here is because you can. There's no chance much of losing a lap, so get that surgery done now, come into a place where you can make a driver swap without hurting the team.
A caution lap's about 2.5 minutes here, so yeah, very easy to make that driver change and make sure he's safely buckled in that race car.
So Vickers will lead Michael Waltrip, Jeremy Mayfield, Jamie McMurray, and Kevin Harvick on the restart green flag. Bobby Hamilton Jr. had just pitted, but he got the free pass, so that leaves Jeff Green and Kevin LePage 1 lap down to the leaders.
Now, just before the caution flag flew, that 25 car, Brian Vickers, he was as fast as Michael. There were just 8 seconds difference in where they were. And as you can see right there, he gets off of turn 1 and he's going on, baby. How about it, Steve?
Hey, DW, Lance McGrew, the crew chief for Brian Vickers, told him before the restart, he said, Brian, that 15 is wicked fast. If he gets around you, don't try to waste any time with him. Just get in behind him and ride with him.
But I would have to believe being out front in clean air, all the downforce on that nose, whether you're the 15 or 25, that has to be an advantage.
And you know what? Every good driver I ever knew, when the crew would tell them that, they'd say, hey, you think he's fast? Watch this.
Got a battle right here for 7. Scott Riggs in the 10. He's going to get passed by Ryan Newman in the 12. And Mark Martin the 6. Just kind of bump drafting Ryan Newman. You can do that on this long straightaway.
And he jacked up pretty good.
They'll take the outside around the lap cars, following Matt Kenseth, who is 6th. Look at Tony Stewart coming up to challenge for the top 10 for the first time today in the Home Depot number 20. He's going to make it 3 wide, is he? Is he?
10's got the run. He'll fall in behind him, I believe.
Just remember, Tony Stewart in 20 started awfully deep in the field. He was one of the guys we were talking about at the top of the show, started in 26, and you heard him in the pre-race say, I really don't know what I've got. So many changes were made to this race car before qualifying yesterday.
So among the cars battling to get back to the front like Stewart, Greg Biffle, last week's winner. Matt, he fell back a bit on the pit stop exchange under caution, and now he's trying to work back to the front.
He fell back, Mike, because after they made the adjustment, the team came around to the left side of the car. The jack slipped off the jack post. He went from 14th to 28th. He has made up a few spots, but he is mired back in traffic, working the outside of the 22 of Scott Wimmer.
See that car right there on the left of our screen, that the one with the yellow number, that 48 car. I'd keep an eye on him too. He has a pretty good track record here.
Jimmy Johnson, our points leader right now, he's battling the 40 for 14th position. Jimmy started back in the 21st position.
Another car that ran in the top 10 during the first green flag segment and is on the move is Sterling Marlin. There's Marlin peeking to the outside, a little ways back behind Jimmy Johnson. Will the track record for cautions be broken? 58% of you say yes. I don't know. I think 58% of you would be mistaken. We're not going to have 14 cautions today.
It doesn't appear that way, but I never say never.
Tell you what, how about that yellow and purple car there, the 7 car, Robbie Gordon. Started back in the 27th position, and he's been running anywhere from about 15th to 20th. I watched this race team. I watched him at Dover last week. He goes by Carl Edwards in the 99, and I think this race team is finally turning the curve. But this place is so much like a road course. We know how well Robbie Gordon runs on a road course. He had 2 top 10 finishes here last year in the 31 car for Richard Childers.
Yeah, a little fancy footwork here doesn't hurt anything. Tapping that throttle, working that brake, that's a good thing.
Let's move back up to 5th place, where Jamie McMurray now has his hands full with Matt Kenseth, Ryan Newman, and Mark Martin closing.
And the good thing about Robbie, just think, it's not too many, 2 weeks, and we'll be at his favorite racetrack.
Oh, yeah. Guns loaded. Sonoma. Yeah, McMurray has not been as good on this run right here. Look how high Ryan Newman in the 12 moves up. I mean, 3 different cars, 3 different lines, but Kevin Harvick just a lap or so ago just blew by McMurray in the 42.
It wasn't too long ago a car got that high, we just said caution.
Yeah, right.
Are you okay? Will it crank?
Today, they're all over the place. And drivers predicted that. With this rule and the gears and everything, might have to run her a little high to keep her free.
See, Mark Martin in that 6 car has never won here, always ran well here. Talked to him and Pat Tryson this morning. You heard our boys in the pits talk about his car at the beginning. He came into this race knowing at the end of every straightaway he was going to have to pump the brake pedal 2 or 3 times to have a solid pedal. Nothing they could actually fix here at the racetrack.
Now, why, Larry? What's wrong with the braking system that Mark's complained about it the last couple of weeks?
I think it's a new master cylinder program that they're on. And Mark Martin told me he would be at the shop to make sure that these pedals and cylinders get changed tomorrow.
Yeah, but the problem he's going to have, Larry, is pumping the brakes is okay when you got a full pad. But if you run this race, you wear that pad down, man, you're going to have a problem there. In the 21, Ricky Rudd has got a problem here. It looks like a tire.
Left front, we're told, Darrell. Looks like they're going to change all 4 as a precaution for Ricky Rudd.
And right now, our leader, Brian Vickers in the 25s coming off turn 3. So Ricky, because I think a problem on his pit stop, he will go a lap down.
And Darrell, we talk about brakes, but haven't they become even more important here since you're not downshifting into turn 1 to help the brakes slow the car?
And what that feels like going down into turn 1, Mike, you're exactly right. You ride the car down with the brake. You're doing 190 miles an hour, and you get on that brake and you ride it a long way to the center of that turn to get it warmed up. But that pumping thing, that's okay now. I don't have to hit it a couple of times. With those pads where you're going to have to hit it more and more and more.
See,
hopefully no one will be in front of you.
Ricky in the 21 car back up the speed on the racetrack. His hopes now would be he'll be the first car he lapped down to get the free pass should we get a caution back from the lead lap.
As a matter of fact, I think back to last year right here with Rusty Wallace running behind Michael. Rusty had that very issue. He went for the brakes, they went to the floor.
Brakes won't be a worry next week as NASCAR on Fox takes you to Michigan International Speedway for 400 miles. Matt Kenseth in the 17 just nibbling away at McMurray here to the inside. Doesn't appear to have the steam down the straightaway to make the pass, but and there you see Newman in that way up high line in turn 1. But there's all different lines through that corner, but there's only one narrow exit.
Yeah, when they get to the exit, they have to be single file just like this. But I think if Ryan keeps working them in the 12 car, I think if he keeps working that high line, I think he may eventually prevail up there. Right now, this group is about 5.5 seconds behind our leader, Brian Vickers, in the 25 car. You can see Brian in the 25, Michael Waltrip in the 15. And what the spotter or crew chief would say, leader at the line now to the rest of these race cars. That's the best reference points for that driver.
Yeah, you know, and if I can have my car good any place, it's going to be across the tunnel and off turn 3. I'll give up a little bit down here in this high-speed, high-bank turn. If I can beat the guy off of turn 3, it's all right if you catch me back going down the back straightaway because I'm going to beat you again.
McMurray finally works the outside to hold off the advance of the 17. And look at what happens to Kenseth. He's going to give up his place in line trying to beat McMurray, and he's going to lose a couple spots.
Looks like Mark was up there trying to help Ryan on about the 42 as well.
He was going to take advantage of that door opening. Yeah, Kenseth will lose 3 spots in that one pass coming off turn 2, or turn 1 rather.
I want to give you a little history on this racetrack. When it was built, IndyCar racing was the rage. Stock car was still a regional sport. So the 3 turns here were designed from 3 famous racetracks. We'll tell you which ones when we come back. A hard crash for Jason Leffler, but not with the wall. Leffler cuts down a tire going into turn 1. And keeping the car high up and perhaps out of the way. He's collected first by Dave Blaney and then by Kyle Petty.
Yeah, this is a weird chain of events here. He's up out of the way. He's not doing anything.
See the left front tire down there, though.
Trying to get, obviously, back to the pits. He's staying up high, staying up high. And there goes Blaney. Bam.
Oh, he was coming down.
Oh, yeah,
there
yeah.
it was.
There had to be a reason Blaney just ran into him, but where'd Kyle come from? You know, I bet Kyle got hit in the back end by something.
I believe you're right. He may be checked up because he saw what was going on, Kyle Petty in the 45, and got hit from behind possibly.
Yep. When we see whose grill is all beat in, we'll know.
See, there comes Kyle across after spinning. I didn't see another car near him, but hard to explain that one. Matt?
Michael Waltrip, as Eddie said, the car was tighter on that run. Back in traffic, right side tires going out. Let's see if they do too. A little bit of trouble by Robbie Fuller on the right front, and he is away. Dick?
Well, Kevin Harvick was too tight when he pitted last time. They made significant adjustments. This pit stop, they're taking a little bit out because he has wound up a little bit too loose. Steve?
A wedge adjustment, a track bar adjustment, and right side tires only for Brian Vickers. His car had gone from neutral to loose.
A couple of guys there, Larry, 25, 19, and 15 all got 2.
You can see right there, look at Jeff Gordon gained 12 positions, Carl Edwards in the 99, and Greg Biffle in the 16, 13 positions. Right there, the pit road time, including the pit stop, you can see Brian Vickers, Elliott Sadler. Looks like both those teams changed just 2 right side tires with only about 12 laps on their tires. Not surprised that teams, you have to come to pit road to get fuel, but not surprised a lot of them just changed 2 right sides.
So Leffler's car going on the hook. All that rear end damage was from Kyle Petty sliding across and hitting him. Let's ride with Leffler. Listen to that tire cutting down here.
Hit. That was Kyle Petty coming in there.
Yeah,
there was a car directly behind Kyle, but I couldn't tell who it was.
Cars in front and cars behind Kyle, so that's what caused him to get involved.
Napa's.
The Pocono 500 on Fox, presented by Subway, is brought to you by Napa. Napa Auto Parts. Get the good stuff. By Subway, experience the great taste of a fresh toasted sub today. Subway, eat fresh. By FedEx, proud sponsor of the number 11 car. And by Allstate, official partner of NASCAR. 21-year-old Brian Vickers currently leading on lap 47. Time for a Visa race break. Pole sitter Michael Waltrip, his first pole in 14 years. And he led the first 29 laps of the Pocono 500 here in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. His Napa Chevrolet. Kurt Busch, the defending points champion, running 27th here. He had to start at the back of the pack. Some problems. That's Terry Labonte who feels it. Both back in the race, bringing out the first caution. Driver change, Brendan Gaughan, the former teammate at Georgetown of Allen Iverson, in for Mike Bliss, who had the hernia operation on Monday, was able to at least start the race. And Jeff here, Jason Leffler, Dave Blaney, Kyle Petty, it's a mess.
Yeah, Chris, you see right there the 11th car Leffler. He had the flat left front, but it looked to me like his spotter or somebody made a mistake because He went down in front of the 07, and all of a sudden somebody got in the back of the 45 car. Kyle Petty spun him into the 11 car of Jason Leffler, and it looks like that the 45 and the 11 both are done today.
A different look at that mishap moments ago as we see. What are they doing here?
And Chris, this right here is the 0 car. They're replacing the radiator in that car that's driven now by Brendan Gaughan, and I'd have to believe that he's probably the guy who got in the back of Kyle Petty and sent him spinning into Jason Leffler.
Under caution now, and worth keeping an eye on. Jeff Gordon, who started 43rd, is now all the way up to 4th behind Vickers, Mayfield, and Michael Walter.
Yeah, but we still have an issue here with the 8 car of Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's still back here in 23rd, so he's still got a long ways to come.
This has been a Visa Race Break. Mike?
Thanks, Chris. Brendan Gaughan was confirmed by videotape as the car that ran in the back of Kyle Petty. And the Fun Police, the electronic timing system, timing pit exit speeds, found Rusty Wallace a little too exuberant, so he will restart at the tail end of the longest line.
Still got 36 cars on the lead lap. Best I can tell, about the top 8 or 10 decided to go with just 2 right side tires. One making the biggest gain, like Chris Myers talked about. Jeff Gordon, that 24 car, started at the rear of the field. He's up to 4th.
So we'll have somewhat of a different running order when we get the restart. You're watching NASCAR, presented on Fox by Subway. Next weekend, our Wendy's race menu takes us to Kentucky for the NASCAR Busch Series race presented by Supercuts. That's on FX. And then Nextel Cup Racing presented by America Online is Sunday at 1:30 Eastern on Fox. Just finishing up cleanup down in turn number 1. Be another lap and a half of caution, and we'll cross 50 laps or 25% of the race distance here, with Brian Vickers leading Jeremy Mayfield. We're going to go down to the Ford Cutaway car where Jeff Hammond has this State Farm safety report.
Several years ago, NASCAR decided that, hey, the windshield has got to be one of the most important part of the race car. But if you happen to have glass in there like you have in your passenger car, when something hits it, not only are you going to have a problem looking out when it gets sandblasted, but if it hits it hard, like with this hammer, you're going to break it. So they came up with a Lexan windshield, one that will not break in most situations and keep the projectiles from inside the race car with the driver. Another thing about it is that when you also can't see, because when it gets sandblasted, they came up with tear-offs. So you can clear the windshield during the course of the race, make it where the driver can see better. NASCAR is always looking for ways to make things better for the driver, and so they can see clearer during the course of the race. Mike?
For more info on safety in our sport, log on to foxsports.com. Dave Blaney has stayed on the lead lap after multiple repairs while they still fit a new radiator to Brendan Gaughan in the 0. Now Greg Biffle has been trying to work his way forward. He got himself into the top 20, but then was moved back a bit. And as you'll hear here, now he is going to restart in 6th place. He's not all that thrilled with his race car.
It feels like the nose has never touched the ground all day. Totally up in the air. Around the corner, off the corner, down the straightaway. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And the way these cars are built now, when that nose won't get down where they want it to be, touching the ground, especially in the turns, it's going to drive really evil because the geometry is built in these cars for them to be sucked down in the corners.
Now you see Biffle way on the right of your screen. He's going to line up for 5th on this, or 6th on this restart. How about these 2 cars just in front of him, Matt?
The car directly in front, his teammate, the 99 of Carl Edwards. Now the good news, the car starts out tight, but as the run progresses, it works a little more toward the neutral side. They took on 2 tires the last stop. The bad news, he was supposed to fly yesterday afternoon to Nashville and compete in the Busch Series race where he is leading the championship standings by 74 points over Reed Sorensen. The bad news, the race has already started there this afternoon. Sorensen is running in the 7th position. The car in front of him, Jeff Gordon, took on 2 tires. The car starts out loose on entry. The 2 tires should help tighten him up. Mike?
Now the Busch race will be shown on FX today following the conclusion of our Pocono 500 on Fox.
We talked about how cars were going to be different from yesterday. Bobby Labonte, the 18 car, had a great qualifying run yesterday, qualified 7th. Both the first stops, they were pulling spring rubbers out of the left rear. That was not fixing the problem. They decided, since it takes 2.5 minutes to get around this racetrack under caution, they changed the left front shock on that last caution.
You can
trying to get that front end back down like DW was talking about.
Do that on a caution lap here. Brian Vickers, our leader, from Jeremy Mayfield's Dodge, Michael Waltrip and Jeff Gordon, Carl Edwards and Greg Biffle in Fords, then Sterling Marlin, Elliott Sadler, Kevin Harvick, and Mark Martin. The top 10 as you watch the speed build on the Fox tracker.
Along that straightaway is already over 170 miles per hour down into turn 1.
Yeah, that's just coming up through the gears. Wait till next time by.
Jeff Green got the free pass. That's Ricky Rudd fighting to get back on the lead lap against Vickers.
How Ricky got a lap down not that many laps ago after the last restart. He had a tire go down, had to pit again under Green.
Michael Waltrip feathers the throttle across the tunnel.
One of the things I was a little bit concerned about for Michael was as fast as he qualified, where everybody else was screaming loose, he was pretty happy with his car, and that means the car was pretty tight when he qualified. That could really hurt him later on in the day.
See quite a battle here for 8. Elliott Sadler in the 38 M&M's car, Kevin Harvick in the 29. They're going to split Kevin LePage in the 37. That's a lap down, but there comes Mark Martin in that 6 car again.
And his traveling companion Ryan Newman right behind.
And I think most of these cars back there elected to go with 4 tires on that stop, including Tony Stewart in the 20.
Stewart's in that group along with McMurray, Kenseth, the Busch brothers, Jarrett, Burton, Jimmy Johnson, and Robbie Gordon.
And I tell you, you look behind this group right there to Kurt Busch, that 97 car had to start at the rear of the field. He was involved in that first caution, and he's worked his way back into the top 20.
Newman's got a run here, Darrell, but no place to go.
Yeah, with 2 cars side by side, I mean, same old story. You can get a good run on both those guys, but when you get there, what are you going to do? Looks like Newman's laying off of him a little bit, trying to get a run on him because he's fast down the straightaway.
Mark Martin holding them off at 10th place, Matt.
Should be good news for Mark Martin. He's out front, has some clean air, been fighting aero tight. Now the move that you saw, the 12 close in. That's exactly what Greg Biffle told me before the race today. It's almost going to be like old-time racing where a guy who's 3rd or 4th in line will have a better shot at making the passes. Michael Waltrip works the inside of the 19, trying to gain back that spot he gave away on pit road.
Michael trying to get within 400 points of the leader between now and Richmond. That'll determine who makes it into the chase for the Nextel Cup.
I think one of the things, it's running great today, and you don't want to borrow trouble. Never like to borrow trouble. But next week at Michigan is a place where DEI has struggled with their flat 1.5 2 mile program. So, buddy, make hay while you can.
Who's making hay right now points-wise? Greg Biffle in the 16 car. Right now, as they are on the racetrack, 5 points ahead of our coming into the race leader, Jimmy Johnson.
Because Johnson took 4 tires, and he is now back in 19th with the other cars that took 4. Some repaved areas, Darrell, at the tunnel turn.
Yeah, they're just really patches, but the guys have all complained all week long about them being almost like raised up places in the racetrack. And particularly that.
Yeah, watch the 88.
Oh yeah, you just see his car just wobble, just kind of bounce, and it bounces right up out of the groove. I've had some of the guys tell me that it actually was snatching the front wheels off the ground. So that's a pretty big bump there, Larry.
It sends him up the racetrack. You can see how many positions he's going to lose, but it was right there across those patches, exit of turn 2, that got Kyle Busch and Jeff Gordon in trouble yesterday qualifying. They ran out of racetrack.
Well behind Brian Vickers, 2nd place is the race where Mayfield, a 2-time winner here, tries to hold off Waltrip and Biffle. '21-year-old Brian Vickers, the Busch Series champ, has now distanced this field by 1.7 seconds, Steve.
Mike, remember, they took just right side tires. Tire specialist Lisa Smokestad took 1 pound out of the right rear tire. And crew chief Lance McGrew told him right before the restart, give me a report as fast as you can on how these right side tires are working so we can set an agenda for the rest of the afternoon. So far, so good.
I'll tell you one thing, if Biffle's car is not very good and he's not real happy with it, I don't know what these guys are going to do if he gets it fixed. Same thing they've done last several weeks, I guess.
Chase it, right. It's Waltrip and Edwards just behind.
Now, all of these cars took 2 tires, but the car right behind Carl Edwards in the 99, just a little bit behind him, Kevin Harvick in the 29, he's the first car that took 4. Right now, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has a problem.
8. Cut tire, left front.
Sorry, Larry, but I see smoke.
Yeah, he's got a left front that's down.
I ain't talking about Tony either.
And it couldn't have happened at a worse point on the racetrack, because from turn 1,
nobody behind you.
It's 2 miles to get back to the pit road.
One of the things you try to do when the cars are pushing, you keep dropping that air down, particularly in that left front. And looks like it's maybe biting some of these guys.
And it's about this time after a caution that Jason Leffler had the problem.
Well, what happens is with that low air, you keep working the sidewall, and you finally break all the cords in there, and the tire will go down.
Ryan Newman has lost touch with Mark Martin. He's now back at 10th place, right there with Sterling Marlin and Matt Kenseth. There's your leader, Vickers. Mayfield in red, Biffle in white, Waltrip and Edwards in blue.
Now, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has still not made it to pit road. He got on that access road from turn 2 to turn 3, so he's just now on pit road. Leader Brian Vickers is coming off turn 3, so he will go at least 1 lap down. They might as well go ahead and change 4 tires.
I would, but, you know, he can't. He's afraid to go too fast. You tear that left front fender off, you can park it.
Junior started this race 34th, so a bad weekend gone worse for the number 8 team, Dick.
Well, Steve Beal had suggested that they ought to put 4 tires on the car. Junior didn't want to spend that much time in the pits, Mike. So the driver is the one that has called to put just 2 tires on the car. He's got them, and boy, do these guys need to have a good day. It's not going to be today, though.
I disagree with that, Dick. That's where Steve Mills should have said we're going to change 4 tires, because if he changes 4 and a caution comes out in a lap or 2, he'd be at the tail end of the lead lap. That's where a crew chief has to put his foot down and say, look, this is what we're going to do.
Well, that's what a crew chief that was a full-time crew chief would probably do. But kind of interim sometime, you just go with the driver.
Well, Jeff, it sounds like that's where frustration may have overcome good judgment.
But guys, this is exactly what we've been talking about. We thought when Steve Mills stepped in there, the veteran would be able to get in here, make some crucial decisions to help this team. And once again, the driver was making a decision for the seat, and I don't agree with that. The crew chief's job is to make those kind of calls, and the driver's job is to make the best of them when they've been made. That was a bad call.
And I think the reason, if you get 4 fresh tires and fuel, if pit stops cycle around to green, you can stay out. But now his right sides are no better than anybody else's that's out there, and he's made another stop.
If a caution comes out now, he's got to pit because of the laps on his right side. See the Goodyear engineer there with Tony Eury Sr. as well as Steve Mills in the white shirt. Looking at that tire, but this is about the 2nd left front that we've seen about 5 or 6 laps after a restart. You damage it early, it shows up a little later.
Yeah, Greg Biffle and Casey Mears did the tire test for this tire, but they did it at Las Vegas. So this place is pretty hard on tires, especially that left front, because you drag it. It's not that it's got it, you drag it across the racetrack all the time.
Stewart and Gordon side by side. That is for a top 10 spot. As
can we get a camera back on that? They're side by side. We might want to keep an eye on these 2 guys.
Now, Daryl, last week was last week. Let's leave it there.
No, I just wanted to be sure we were watching.
We're always watching. We have lots of videotape.
The eyes of Fox are up on you.
Stewart prevails for 10th place. There's Brian Vickers, your leader. Mayfield, Biffle, Michael Waltrip, the pole sitter, and Carl Edwards.
The Pocono 500 on Fox, presented by Subway, is brought to you by New Q from Quaker Steak, the heat-activated oil that helps maximize the power of your engine. By Listerine Pocket Packs Strips, instant fresh breath now in less intense fresh citrus. By Pepsi, it's the Cola. And by Singular, raising the bar. Don't forget to join the Goodyear Garage by logging on to www.goodyeargarage.com on the aerial view provided by Goodyear. Lap 64, only 2 cautions so far. We've had 3 different leaders. Michael Waltrip, Mike Wallace, and Brian Vickers has led the most laps. You know, Roush Racing has won 6 races this year. Jeff Hammond, a Roush driver, has never won here at Pocono, yet they have 3 drivers in the top 7 right now.
Well, they've been real strong early this season, especially the guy you see running in 3rd place, and that's Greg Biffle. So it wouldn't surprise me to see one of these guys make it into victory lane. But right now, Brian Vickers and Jeremy Mayfield are making pretty strong statements saying, hey, if you want to win this race, you got to get by one of us. And Brian Vickers is really looking good.
And Vickers for Hendrick Motorsports, a career-high 98 laps led at the Coke 600. He's led the most laps thus far. Some Hendrick drivers who waited a while to win their first race.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, Jeff Gordon took 42 races before he got his first win at Hendrick Motorsports. And Brian Vickers is currently, this is his 55th race. So he's looking for a victory for Hendrick Motorsports.
Rejoined Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
I'll show you where the Hendrick cars are running right now, with Vickers the leader, Jeff Gordon 13th. Jimmy Johnson is 16th, 1 spot ahead of Kyle Busch. But if you look at the leading Chevrolets in this race, the first 4 are from 4 different teams. Vickers for Hendrick. Next Chevrolet is Michael Waltrip with DEI, then Kevin Harvick with Richard Childress, and the 4th Chevy in this race, in 11th place, Tony Stewart with Joe Gibbs Racing.
But just remember, as we look at Jeff Gordon in the 24, all 4 Hendrick cars are in the top 17. 2 of those cars had to start at the very rear of the field. Jeff Gordon in the 24 and Kyle Busch in the 5.
Matt is in Gordon's pit.
And Gordon has faded a bit. Now the biggest issue for Gordon, he just cannot carry the speed into the corner because it is just so loose. It's just an unsettling feeling.
And Jimmy Johnson, the points leader, he's been fighting a tight race car all day, but they finally feel like they've adjusted that car to where he can move forward. Chad Canals, his crew chief, being the big cheerleader, saying you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. We'll be in the top 10 in no time. His teammate Kyle Busch at the 5 car, a little bit loose.
I just think that the Hendrick Motorsports group as a whole has started to really support each other. The 5 and the 25 and all of them getting in there in the same shop. What, we got a problem?
Junior, left front again.
Now, you know, we've seen this once before with this car. Where was it he kept having all those left front tires go down? Was it California?
Yep. It was either California or Las Vegas.
Yeah.
We'll check on that. And if you mentioned same tires, Las Vegas, so much debris, caution is on the racetrack.
South leaders coming to your outside.
But he will go a 2nd lap down because he's trying to creep along, as you mentioned a while ago, from tearing that fender up.
That tire's locked up.
Yeah, something got in between.
Something's in there now. Got that thing locked up.
That may damage more than just the tire and wheel. The caution came out not because Junior had a flat tire, but that's why, because as the tire came apart, that's some brake ducting, some metal pieces and other things out on the racetrack. No black helicopters.
No, that's real.
No,
I'm not even imagining that. That's real.
It's the 3rd caution of the day. The first came out at lap 30 for Kurt Busch's spin when he collected Terry Labonte. The 2nd caution at lap 45 when Jason Leffler had a flat.
You got a fire in there now.
Leffler drove into Dave Blaney, 2nd hard luck Sunday in a row for Blaney, and then Brendan Gaughan turned Kyle Petty around. So now we're into the 3rd caution.
He better drive that thing up there to a fire truck.
Ricky Rudd will get the free pass on this one.
Yeah, he's dragging probably the sway bar arm and everything else that's underneath there with that thing down on that wheel like that. No, the only other time this year we've seen a left front wheel locked up was, and of course, this comes 10 laps after that last stop, is a lug nut got up there and locked everything up. But all kinds of problems on this car.
I think he's going to the garage, Larry. He's way out to the right side of pit road. Nope, I thought he was going to make the left turn in the garage. He does not.
Brakes?
Way to stop when he lets us just push the clutch in. That probably stop. dragging along there. It's got one wheel brake, we know, because it's locked up.
And who knows how much other damage inside that wheel.
I think that's going to be the issue. What caused that?
And you know, it's just like Jeff Hammond pointed out in the pre-race. These guys, they've got to get things turned around. We're halfway through these 26 races, and this is not going to help their cause for getting within 400 points of that leader.
We saw the tire come apart, and part of the flailing tire took out the brake ducting. But I believe, Darrell, some of the rest of that tire carcass got caught maybe between the wheel and the caliper and locked up that wheel, so he had to drag it 1.5 miles.
This is, yeah, you see all the debris coming out there, but this is so reminiscent of the problem he had, and I'm trying to remember, Larry, if it was California.
Quaker State pit stops coming, Darrell, for the leaders. Here's Matt.
Now the 19 of Mayfield, he was complaining about a vibration shortly after taking the green flag on this run. They're going to do a combo platter of adjustments because he says the car is just way too free. Now meanwhile, Michael Waltrip, they're going to do a chassis adjustment possibly as well, Dick, and the 16 of Biffle's loose.
Well, Kevin Harvick now on pit road for another 4-tire stop. Jason Leffler had been pitting in front of him. Now Harvick has no one in front of him. Steve.
Brian Vickers, the leader. Little loose getting into 2, little free in 3. 4 tires this time, and they made an air pressure adjustment to both left side tires. They added 0.5 pound.
I give Lance McGrew high marks on 2 points. First, his team is knocking off fast stops, but second, they picked the furthest pit down pit road to help get him out quickly.
Look at Jimmy Johnson, though, Chad Canals. He said it wouldn't be long before they'd be in the top 10, gained 10 spots on that pit stop. Now, this will be the times on pit road, and you can see right there, they just had a quick pit stop right there, 35-35, including the pit stop on pit road along with Brian Vickers. But you're right, Mike, that pit selection is so good for that 25 car.
That's almost a no-brainer. At least it used to be. Pick that first pit down there. That's the best pit in the whole joint.
Especially under caution.
Yeah, under caution, yeah. And the other thing is, what was that record for cautions?
The one I didn't think we were going to break
exactly.
Today, it's 13.
Okay.
Speaking of 13, let's go down to Chris Myers for a Visa race break.
I guess that would be an unlucky number. This is a Visa race break. Let's go through a quick recap. Michael Waltrip, of course, on the pole, led for the first 29 laps in this race with 69 in, 131 to go. And then Kurt Busch, another one of those things. He was running 27th at the time. Terry Labonte also involved, but Kurt has got back in the race up to 12th currently, hovering around the top 10. Jason Leffler in the 11 car. You see Dave Blaney, and then it looked like Brendan Gaughan, Jeff, got into Kyle Petty.
Yeah, we saw right there Jason Leffler came down, got in to Dave Blaney to begin with, and all of a sudden you see, bingo, there comes a 45 out of nowhere. Well, he got hit in the back, got spun into the 11.
And then bring out the new radiator.
Had to put in a new radiator in the 0 car.
Hopefully going to cool all those off. Dale Jr., lap 57, tire problems. Larry McReynolds pointed out he stopped in, went a lap down, but only got 2 tires.
Only got 2 tires and had that flat tire the first time around. Don't think that was a right call, but then later on, he loses another left front and locks up and catches on fire.
Just 10 laps later. Let's check in right now with Dick Berger. Dick?
Chris Jr.'s left front is an absolute mess. The fender is all charred. The rotor rather does turn. The wheel and hub assembly does turn on this car, but they've got major problems. They've just taken the bar off the anti-roll bar. I mean, he's just got huge problems here with the left front, and they're really not sure what has caused all of this. Why 2 flat tires? We're listening on the radio, and they don't know, Chris.
All right, thanks very much. Last year at this point, Dale Earnhardt Jr. led 554 laps. This year, he's only led 5 laps. And coming in, Jeff, he had finished every race at Pocono that he had been involved in. Now, something like that, crew checking tires, wear and tear, the way the car is running, what's your best guess?
Well, right now, it looks like they may be having a problem as far as the air pressure is concerned, along with maybe a camber issue. So they're going to need to figure out what's wrong with this race car, but they shouldn't have had this problem that quick.
A warm, muggy day here in Pocono, 70 laps in. This has been a Visa race break. We'll return on Fox in just a moment.
There's our Q pit summary. The top 5 as they came into the pits came out much the same way, except Biffle dropped to 7th, moving Jimmy Johnson up into the top 5. So it'll be Vickers, Mayfield, Waltrip, Edwards, and Johnson on this restart. Mike Garvey stayed out to lead 1 lap under this caution and then came in and pitted, so we're set to go at lap 72.
But what Jimmy Johnson, the 48 team did, they took 4 tires at lap 45. They did 2 tires then. How about it, though, because of that?
6th place. Biffle and Newman. As Brian Vickers runs off from the field once again.
Boy, nothing like being up front. We've seen that all day. You get up front, you can lead from here.
Steve?
Mike, just to let you know, when Ryan Newman made his pit stop, he said that his car is tight all the way around this racetrack. They put on 4 tires and made a wedge adjustment.
Darrell, sounds like they made the big change from qualifying when Newman was loose into turn 1, and the car got away from him, and he didn't make it into the top 10 in qualifying.
Yeah, it sounds like they didn't have enough adjustability in that piece.
Sterling Marlin in the 40 car to the inside of Kurt Busch in the 97. This is a battle for 17th as we're looking out of Jeff Burton's number 31 car. Now it sounds like the handling characteristics are really changing on these race cars. If you notice, the ambient temperature has not changed that much, but look how much the track temperature has went up. Less grip. Car was a little tight and pushing. It's going to push worse as the track temperature comes up. A lot of adjustments going to be needed over these next few pit stops.
And one of the things to keep in the back of your mind, ladies and gentlemen, is as the day wears on, we get down there at the end of this deal, a bad handling in that race car uses a lot of brakes. And these boys already were worried about how much brake they were going to use today. Don't count that out as a factor in some of these guys before the day's over.
Keeping an eye on the singular 31 of Jeff Burton, who runs in 16th spot there, Matt.
He just tucked back in behind the 17 of Kansas. Now significant adjustments on this 31 car on the last stop. Both tight and loose, but this team racing with heavy hearts. Now Bobby Hutchins, who's the VP of competition at RCR, his father Robert passed away yesterday morning in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, so our thoughts and prayers go out with the Hutchins family.
We certainly do. Hutchins, a big name in short track racing there in the Winston-Salem area for many, many years. Casey Kane has cut a tire, we're told.
It's just got to be something with the racetrack, Larry. You get up out of the groove or something, or maybe he made contact with somebody. Let's see if we can see anything that happened here.
This was a lap ago.
Loose, really loose off that turn.
No contact.
I just think the thing about this joint is you drag that left front. I keep saying that, I know, but that's when you get that left front down below the curbing, down on that rotten grass or whatever going into a tunnel turn, you can rip a tire off of one of these things.
The good thing about where his went flat versus Dale Earnhardt Jr., he was on the short chute very close to the entrance of pit road. If they elect to go with just 2 tires, he may all but get out and not go a lap down. Looks like they may go ahead and go with 4 tires here.
Right sides are done. They are going for 4, Dick.
Interesting story with Casey Kane. Tommy Baldwin asked his driver 2 tires or 4. Driver made the decision, take 4 tires. There they go. And boy, if he makes it out, he is not going to make it out. He's going to lose a lap.
Yeah, Dick, he's going to go a lap down. This is the point that Jeff Hammond and I were trying to make a while ago. If we get a quick caution, he can stay out and be at the tail end of the lead lap.
Now this is 2 laps ago.
Guarantee there's going to be some contact here somewhere. Yeah,
Tony
there you
Stewart,
go.
the 20 car.
There you go. Something's cut his tire down because I saw the Goodyear rubbed off of it.
And there's where it starts to go down.
But Larry, asking these guys, you want 2 or 4? That's like asking you want 2 scoops of ice cream or 4 scoops of ice cream. That's a no-brainer.
I may not need 4, but I'll take them anyhow.
Stack them on up there. I'll eat them.
I can't put blame for that one on Tony because Casey Kane coming off the corner seemed to come off the wall into Stewart's path, but
that's a little push loose, and when he got a little sideways, he bounced off of Tony.
Carl Edwards had a very aggressive run during that last green flag run. Now he's ahead of Michael Waltrip, but he spent that run mostly behind him, and well, he got told about it.
Carl, you did a great job leaving the box, but I don't want you to run that 15 like that again, okay?
10-4. Just waiting for him to miss a shift or something. Just didn't want to miss an opportunity.
10-4, like Bob's trying to tell you, though, Carl, most of those deals will find us. They'll get us in that wall, baby. Just think about it.
10-4, great stuff, guys. Tell those guys I won't do that again.
Okay, cool. We'll get them. 10-4, 4 laps. 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 10-4, 4
that was Bobby Hudson's spotter. Bobby's been around a long time, and that's the kind of information the driver needs to hear right there. Those are things that will help you.
But what was good there, Bobby Hudson was supporting what Bob Osborne, his crew chief, was telling him.
Right. And they got a stallion there. They know that, and they got to keep him throttled back a little bit.
But smart early on to tell him, don't get up there close to where you can become part of what was somebody else's problem.
Well, right now, our 2 points leader, Greg Biffle in the 16, Jimmy Johnson in the 48, locked up in a battle here for 5th. Jimmy Johnson's car pretty good with those just right side tires. Darrell, I just believe right out in front of this group right here, your brother Michael Waltrip in the 15. I'm just not sure that they have kept up with the changes this racetrack's going through right now. He was awfully good at the drop of the green flag, but looked like they're getting a little behind now with the 15.
I just think that car could possibly get too tight as this race wears on. This joint tightens up anyway, and that good qualifying run he had, everybody else screaming, I'm loose, wrecking, hitting the wall. He said his car was perfect. I know it sounds contrary to what you would believe, but that may not have been a good thing.
And it's probably tighter back here in traffic. When they dropped the green flag, he was out front in clean air.
Kurt and Kyle Busch running nose to tail as they have most of these last 50 laps. Kurt drops to the inside of Jeff Burton. And let's get you to our second singular virtual crew chief. Question of the day. What's your biggest concern at Pocono? Fuel mileage, horsepower, or track position?
Yes, yes, and yes.
Yeah, well, might have been tires, you know. Could have put that on there too, but it's fuel mileage. I guarantee you it'll come down to fuel mileage.
Always does.
Text the word crew to 191 on your singular wireless phone or go to foxsports.com. Cast your vote.
I don't have to have the most horsepower. Horsepower burns fuel. Don't have to have the best handling car, but if I got the best fuel mileage, hello.
Then you'll have the best track position.
That's right.
Maybe so. Points leader Jimmy Johnson leading Kevin Harvick 6th and 7th right now. And the reason we won't break the record for cautions today, I think, is because it gets dark at 8:45.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right now, I know they gained a lot of track position with that 48 car, and I know I made the comment a little while ago that this car is okay with right side tires, but the longer we go into this run, the more those tires are going to pay the price. See, Ricky Rudd in the 21 car in trouble. He had a flat tire earlier, too.
Yeah. And he also had some time during the caution on pit road, I believe, with the hood up.
That's left.
Oh, guys, got another tire down. He's bringing it to us here.
Got another tire down.
Greg Biffle in the 16 car all over the back of Michael Waltrip in the 15 car, but Dick Bergman, we're seeing left fronts flat all over the place.
Yeah, and I've talked to 2 Goodyear engineers, Larry, and neither of them really knows what's going on. There is a theory that the cars may be running too low into the tires, actually making contact with the tires, but they really aren't sure that, in fact, that's what's happening. So we've definitely got a problem going on here, and the biggest difficulty with that problem is we don't know why. We don't know what's going wrong.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. twice, Casey Kane, and now Ricky Rudd. There's Brian Vickers' lead over Jeremy Mayfield. It's almost 2 seconds in the Pocono 500.
The Pocono 500 on Fox, presented by Subway, is brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR, and proud sponsors of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and the number 8 car. And you can enter the weekly Gillette Young Guns Challenge. One lucky fan who correctly picks the top placing Gillette Young Gun each week wins $5,000. Log on to GilletteYoungGuns.com for details. Enter for a chance to win. The Gillette Young Gun Challenge, brought to you by M3 Power, the world's best shave. Not on that list, but one of the youngest guns in this race, 21-year-old Brian Vickers, leading in his Chevy at lap 86. He lists his heroes, his non-racing heroes, Franklin D. Roosevelt and Albert Einstein.
A little bit strange what you think for a race car driver, but I think he said to me the other day that those heroes like that are kind of helped him get through these tough times he's had early on in his career.
All right, so far for him, no problem with the tires. Earlier we showed you Dale Earnhardt Jr. among those. He isn't the only one with tire problems, although it's cost Jr. quite a bit because he went 5 laps down after, within a 10-lap span, he had a second tire problem, actually creating some fire. He is further back and out of the chase for the Nextel Cup currently.
Yeah, Casey Kane had problems. Here comes Ricky Rudd down on pit road with a left front tire problem. We also saw Jason Leffler. That's what these tires look like when they have that kind of problem. That came off of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car. So, man, it's a bad problem right now that a lot of guys are very concerned about.
Well, let's get Larry and Darrell's thoughts, Jeff, and yours as well. You heard Dick Herbert say maybe it's the way the cars are running, pressuring that tire. Maybe it's the heat. Your thoughts?
Well, it could be a lot of things, DW and Jeff, but the thing I sit here and question is we know how much they're traveling these cars in the corner, but the straightaways are so long here, and to get the full footprint of the left front tire on the ground, they run a lot of positive camber in the tire, which leans it way out, which runs on the shoulder of the tire. It gets the full footprint on the ground in the corners, but look how long these straightaways are, and I just wonder if they're damaging the shoulder of those tires.
Yeah, I think that's what's happened. They're breaking down the sidewall, low air pressure, about 20 pounds of air in that left front tire, plus, Larry, heavy braking. Again, I just go back to the braking situation. Right there where they are now, where Biffle is, you're hard on the brakes. You're wallering that left front tire when you go down there and hit the brake. Put a lot of pressure on the inside of that tire. I think that's what's happening.
And that's after running 3,700 feet down the straightaway just on that inside edge of the tire.
Yeah, actually, it's out. You know, probably outside edge the way they got them leaned out.
Yeah, positive camber.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, outside edge.
Left
right.
front, yeah.
What do you think, Jeff?
All those things, I believe you guys are headed in the right direction, but let's take it one step further. That usually is the heaviest tire on the car also. So when you go down in the corner and you start loading it up again and you start dragging, it's like Michael Walter going in that corner. He's kind of dragging that car across the front, and it's with that left front tire really working it hard. So if you've got any kind of areas that are very close to the edge, you're going to find it. And I think that's what a lot of these cars already have done.
Like DW said, Goodyear doesn't make a bad tire. We just do bad things to them.
That's right. We abuse them.
Sterling Marlin moving up on Kurt Busch, that 17th position. Marlin, who says he hopes to know something by 4th of July as far as where he'll race next year, and he wants to be here.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Tony Stewart wanted to be where Joe Nemechek was, too, and it almost didn't work out. That was close.
Well, it's that camouflage car, Darrell. It's hard to see.
I think you're right, and I don't think Joe would. Here comes Joe back. He said, hey, dude.
If you look at the hood of that car, you'll see the word letters 230 on it. The number's 230. It's Army's 230th birthday this weekend. And the look of the car is symbolic of the new Army combat uniform that's going to be phased in over the next few months to all of our Army men.
1775.
And just watching these two cars go at it, I think back to Kansas. So we got Casey Kane in trouble. The 9 car, caution will be out.
Pitt.
I don't believe he had contact with anyone.
You know, just remember we saw him really loose off that corner before he had the left front tire go down. But I just believe that car just not handling well.
Is the right front flat?
Well, they're all pretty much flat
now.
Right yeah. He's got all kind of issues. I just think mostly he's not handling real well.
Well, Casey Kane, Darrell, this year and last has kind of led the league in right front tire problems.
Oh yeah, if there's going to be a right front problem, you can always look to his car. Let's see if he gets out. I think he just gets loose coming out here and spins. Oh yeah,
all by himself.
Yes sir.
He got loose.
Spins that bad boy right out.
And locking it up is likely what cut down the tire, not the spin, not spinning it.
And remember, he was a lap down because it was not that many laps ago that he had a cut left front down and had to come to pit road.
What happens that fast?
No one tucked up behind him or anything.
And unfortunately, he has to go all the way around, and he'll probably be on the rim by the time he gets to Tommy Baldwin and crew. Baldwin and a lot of the Nextel Cup and Whelen Modified folks had a big time this week up on Long Island in a charity golf tournament honoring the memory of Tiger Tom Baldwin, Tommy's dad.
Oh yeah, there was let's see, 36 groups of foursomes, and I don't think anyone walked away without having a big old time. But yeah, the beneficiaries of that golf tournament, the Victory Junction Game Camp, the Autism Society, the Susan B. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation. So a lot of charities benefiting from that great cause up there.
I understand a few tire rubs up there as well.
It got a little carried away, especially at the end of the day.
I can imagine. And they'll have it again next year, he told me this morning. Can't wait.
I guarantee there's a bunch of folks already signing up for that.
You bet. Ricky Rudd back in. He has had left front tire problems twice already today. Now, in fairness, Casey Kane's left front tire problem was from contact with Tony Stewart, rather than just an issue with the way that tire's set up. Steve?
Mike, just wanted to let you know, just got a note, Ryan Newman has a left front tire going down right now as well.
So Ryan Newman's certainly glad to see this caution. I think the other car that was glad to see this caution, mission accomplished. Jimmy Johnson, Chad Knaus, the 48 car, they got into the top 10 by changing right side, but I think that car was ready for 4 tires.
Did you see Brian Vickers' pit sign? The flip-flops. And that's...
I know where they came from.
Well, tell everybody.
Well, that was Ricky Hendrick. He always wore flip-flops everywhere he went. And that's Brian's way of remembering Ricky.
And he picked Ricky Hendrick to take over what was his seat in the Busch car and move on up to Cup. Matt?
Looking at 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and 19 of Mayfield, 99 of Edwards, and 16 of Biffle. Pretty much all are complaining of both loose and tight conditions. Chassis adjustments for both the 16 and the 19 and the 99 as well. Dick?
Harvick had been running in 6th position when the caution flag came out. His only complaint is a little bit tight going into the turners. Steve?
Another good stop going for Brian Vickers. He says his car is just a little bit loose. 1 pound out of the right rear tire, half a pound in, both lefts. He is away.
Oh, going to be close, but not that close. Vickers, as he has every time today, will win the race off pit road.
Looked like that Michael Waltrip lost a lot of time on his pit stop, lost 4 positions. You see right there on the race off pit road.
And there's something going on. They got the Budweiser guys changing his front tires. I'm not sure what that's all about.
But you see right there, Brian Vickers once again, as well as Kevin Harvick.
Oh, trouble.
Green.
On pit road, Kevin LePage, I believe, has lost a wheel. Looks like the left front is down. And the wheel rolled away.
A lot of left front issues here today.
And LePage, well, he was 1 lap down. He got lapped on the racetrack during the long green flag run at the start of the race, but otherwise had been running well in that unsponsored Dodge.
Yeah, they just never had there's no lug nuts there.
Did he hit some? No, that was his tire that popped off, I believe, as he was leaving the pits. The lugs weren't tight, perhaps.
His tire's still stuck up in there, isn't it? You big...
Fine time to leave me, Lucille, with 400 children and the crops in the field.
94 laps complete, green flag. Ryan Vickers leads Carl Edwards, Jeremy Mayfield, Kevin Harvick, Greg Biffle, Mark Martin, and Jimmy Johnson.
One thing I've noticed, Larry, they have moved the restart line way on down here toward the start-finish line this time. Normally it's back up near turn 3, but they've really pulled it down closer to the start-finish line.
See Casey Kane in the 9 car having these tire problems. He's actually 2 laps down right now, trying to get one of them back. Tire leader Brian Vickers in the 25 car. See Carl Edwards in the 99 up there in the 2nd spot.
And there's only 1 car who is 1 lap down, and that's Ricky Rudd. So if Kane can get one of these laps back, that'll help him.
Hey, Hammond, told you about that 99 car.
Darrell, it's still a long ways to go, my friend, when you start crowing too loud. Right now, that young man up in front is going to have a little something to say about that Brian Vickers. We see some pretty aggressive racing back through the field right now. Looks like that 9 car is trying to hold back Kevin Harvick. He's on a charge right now.
Harvick's good on the restarts. That car's got a short run package up under it.
And now he's got Mayfield and Biffle in tow there. Carl Edwards way up on the high side. And that's where the rest of the leaders will go. Now, an interesting thing that happened on Michael Waltrip's stop, he had the front tire and carrier and changer from Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s crew working on his car, while Junior had Michael's front tire changer and carrier working on the 8 car. Matt, what's up with that?
Much like a football coach, the pit crew coach Walt Smith, as you can see on both sides of your screens, the different uniforms, he decided to swap out Chris Crumley and Sean Ward, the front combination for the Budweiser car, with Robbie Fuller and Danny Earnhardt. He said the biggest reason why the 8 car is 5 laps down, Michael Waltrip has a shot to win this race, and they feel like Crumley and Ward are about a half to a full second faster today. No other major reason wide of that. It just feels like he's going to swap them out and see what happens.
Well, that's pretty smart. It's like a football coach having a depth chart and saying, all right, we've got a chance to win this race. Let's put the best people in the places to try to give him the best shot to win.
Exactly. And I mean, at DEI, regardless of which car, they need to go to victory lane soon.
I thought maybe those front tire guys said, look, I ain't working on no car at the left front tire catching on fire all the time. I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm just kidding. I know that's...
Just watch Mark Martin in the 6 drive by Jeremy Mayfield in the 19. Jimmy Johnson in the 48, our points leader, trying to take advantage of Jeremy Mayfield as well. It's a battle for 5th spot.
Right behind them, Jeff Burton. And then it's a gap back to Michael Waltrip, Jeff Gordon, Elliott Sadler, and Kyle Busch.
Two are still going at it for 6th spot. They keep going at it, though. That 31 is going to be right there. Look at this group right here, 3 wide. Jeff Gordon in the 24 car to the inside of Michael Waltrip in the 15. Kyle Busch in the 5 would like to take advantage of it as well.
Now, that's not the race we expected Jeff Gordon to run. He started out back. He told us at the top of the show, we're point racing. We're just going to try to pile up points today. But going 3 wide there, Darrell, that was a really aggressive move on Gordon's part to try to get back to the front.
Oh, you're right. But, you know, when drivers get in their cars, put their helmets on, they have amnesia.
We just saw Ricky Rudd in the 21 car, left front down again. That would be his 3rd left front tire problem. Battle for 14th, Jamie McMurray in the 42. Look at Sterling Marlin in the 40, taking it all the way to the bottom, trying to make it 3 wide off into turn 1 at about 190 miles an hour.
Was there contact between Kurt Busch and Ryan Newman going into the turn?
Looked like a little bit. A brush. A slight brush. Getting mighty racy here, boys. This is going to be big right here. I bet old Sterling says, uh-oh.
Getting a little tight out here, Doug.
Yeah, get a little racy. Man, is that not a great shot?
Love it.
You can see everything. It tells the whole story.
Well, now I can finish my story if we stay right there about the 3 turns of this racetrack. The long, flat turn right here, the Milwaukee Fairgrounds, the race that always ran the week after the Indianapolis 500. Long, flat corner. That's turn 3 at Pocono, was designed after Milwaukee. Turn 1 at the top of your screen, high banked, tight radius, carry a lot of speed in, a lot of speed out. The Trenton, New Jersey Fairgrounds, track with a 1.5 miles with a dog leg in the straightaway. Very unique racetrack. Then this straightaway, a whole different length, and you come to the tunnel turn, which is 90 degrees, moderate bank, flat-footed, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And that's how they designed the racetrack.
Gosh, you know, I wish I'd have known that when I was racing here. Because that would help, you know, you'd feel, you'd know, you'd have something to relate to. I just always thought it was just a weird racetrack. But when you put it all together like that, it makes sense.
Thanks to the Spirit of Goodyear high above Pocono for helping us point that out.
We're halfway, boys.
You know, I'm a little bit worried about my brother. Every time I make a pit stop, and it's not the pit stops, it just seems like that he keeps backing up. He's back to, gosh, he's back to 11th place, and I'm just wondering if there's anything going on or anything wrong, Matt. Do you know?
D, I asked Tony Eury Jr.'s crew chief. I said, Darrell is inquiring, what's up with the 15 car, his brother, on the restarts? He said, you tell Darrell. Now he knows Michael's not really good on restarts on sticker tires. Just give him some time.
All right.
There you have it.
As long as there's an explanation.
Well, we saw that in that first long green flag run, Darrell, that once Michael got a bunch of laps on those tires and settled into his rhythm, he began to pull away.
Yeah, I know, but you can't get these cars don't like dirty air, as they talk about all the time, back in traffic. Going to have to pull something out here for long, because the leader is at the line now, and Michael Curtis is at the line now.
You know, we were talking about Robbie Gordon in the 7 car not that many laps ago. He had worked his way almost in the top 15 as he battles Rusty Wallace in the 2. That's a battle for 18th. A couple of cautions ago, Robbie Gordon was on pit road with the hood up. He restarted back at about 34th, battling his way back towards the top 15 again. Good car for Robbie today.
Jeff Gordon continues to move forward. He puts the move on Jeff Burton, and that is for 8th place. Well, let's see what the fans voted. Biggest concern here, track position.
Well, that seems to be the key today. If you can get out front like Michael did in the beginning and Brian Vickers has all the way since about lap 30, that certainly makes a difference.
I'll tell you one thing, though, that old 99 car, he's slipping up. Look, he's right there behind Vickers. These are a little group right here with the right behind them, the 16 and the 29.
Lapping LePage. As you ride with Biffle. Hard to believe that Jack Roush's Fords have never won at Pocono. They've been second 11 times, and 6 of those were Mark Martin, but they've never won.
And we talked so much about Hendrick versus Rouse. Looks like Tony Stewart in the 20 car.
Front.
He may have a problem with the left front.
See, and see all the letters rubbed off of it? That's contact somewhere.
Same deal, Darrell. About 10 laps after they made a pit stop, about like everyone else that's had a problem.
Stewart came in here 10th in the standings in the Nextel Cup parade, and he will limp around to pit road. He was 5th, 66 points out of 4th, 306 points out of the lead. He becomes the 6th driver to have a left front problem today. Kyle Busch also on the move forward. He's now solidly in the top 10 as he moves to 9th.
So right now we have all 4 Hendrick cars in the top 9.
And the lead battle is heating up. Here's Steve.
Mike just heard Brian Vickers tell crew chief Lance McGrew his car is a little bit on the loose side. He has turned his brake fans off. Dick?
Well, Greg Zipadelli has told his driver that he's going to get just 2 tires. All they're going to change are the left. So there is still uncertainty here on pit road as to what is causing these tire failures. When the tires come in, they're so chewed up, it's hard to diagnose it. There's 4 of them behind Ricky Rudd's pit. And I asked crew chief Pat Bagley Swain what's going on. He just shrugged his shoulders. He doesn't know.
See Carl Edwards in that 99 car getting ever so closer to leaders Brian Vickers. But that was interesting what Steve just talked about, Brian Vickers. What these guys that have blowers to try to keep the front tires cool, to keep the pressure down. Well, if you're a little bit loose, you want those pressures to come up. So he cut the blowers off to build some air pressure in the front tires. Tighten him up.
Vickers is trying to become the 11th different winner at Pocono for Hendrick Motorsports. Jeff Gordon and Tim Richmond 3 apiece. Jimmy Johnson, both of last year's races. Jeff Bodine and Terry Labonte have all won on the Pocono Tri-Oval. For Hendrick, Carl Edwards is trying to become the first ever winner here for Jack Roush.
And I'm going to tell you what, Carl Edwards in the 99 car, he wants the lead from Brian Vickers. In fact, you just saw Brian Vickers' hand go out the left window. He sees the 99, called him, pass me on the inside. Let's don't lose a bunch of time to those guys back there running 3rd and beyond. Good move right there. I mean, when normally Pocono, you normally see the veterans prevail here. You look at these 2 guys coming into today, only 2 Pocono starts between the 2 of them.
And reason being, they never knew how shifted. They never shifted here. They just figure it's a normal race. It's really like running Indianapolis. We never shifted at Indianapolis, and now we didn't shift here for years, and now they're going back to old school.
If you never had it, you don't know what you're missing.
No, you got what you got, Dick.
We have a diagnosis on Tony Stewart's car. A fender brace was rubbing. They also think there was contact between the car and the tire on Dale Jr.'s automobile earlier. We're getting there. Progress.
So Stewart back on track, 1 lap down. 32 lead lap cars.
The Pocono 500 on Fox, presented by Subway, is brought to you by Coca-Cola Racing Family. Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of NASCAR. By Nextel. Go to foxsports.com to find out how you could be the Nextel Fan of the Week. By Fridays. Check out Friday's new Steakhouse Selects, because everyone could use more Fridays. And by Allstate, official partner of NASCAR. And 91 laps to go. Let's check in on our Coca-Cola family of racers. As you see, Greg Biffle, who came in second in points, actually had the lead in points currently in this race. Kevin Harvick, Jeff Burton among those, Elliott Sadler. Kurt Busch had a wreck early, worked his way back up to 12, hanging in there. Tony Stewart moments ago with the tire problems. We've had 5 different leaders, 6 different lead changes. It was Carl Edwards missing the Busch Series race in Nashville. First on-track lead change moments ago, leading in his first Pocono race.
DW always talks about what goes on with the 99 car as far as him being a rookie. He's doing a great job, but here's some of the contact that we kind of got Tony Stewart maybe cut that left-right front tire down. He gets real close and they make just a little bit of contact right there. It makes you wonder if that was enough to do anything, but Dick Bergen reported they had a fender brace that was rubbing the left front tire and cut it down, so that was part of the problem with Tony Stewart's car. He's back on track right now as we see the 48 car, Jimmy Johnson, making a move on Kevin Harvick.
Could we have affected a valve step with what we saw moments ago with Tony Stewart?
Oh, yeah, he easily could have done that.
Really? That's what I figured. Yeah. That's why I brought it up. All right, let's talk about Jimmy Johnson, the points leader. It just got passed by Kevin Harvick, but running 6th. For the last 10 races has been the points leader. And the more he does well, the tougher it is, Jeff, for those people to try and stay within that strike range.
It really is, and this is the kind of thing that determines whether or not you have got the resiliency to be a Nextel Cup champion, and he just continues to battle right now with Kevin Harvick. He don't want to turn that position loose. Went right back by Kevin on the outside.
And we're getting word of another tire problem, Mike, with the 9 car.
Well, it's been a tough day for Casey Kane, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Ricky Rudd. Yeah. Multiple tire issues left front there.
Yeah, Junior was just on pit road just then, just for, I'm not sure for what, but he did change tires. I don't know if he had a problem, and you can see the 9.
That shot showed just how much positive camber they're running, where the top of the tire is kicked out, way outside, almost outside the fender compared to the bottom of the tire.
And it wasn't as timely this time. Remember, right in here on the short chutes where he had the problem earlier, but this was all the way coming off turn 1.
Got Jeff Gordon on pit road. Yeah, he's coming down. I don't know if that's unscheduled or not. How about it there, statistician?
It's just a little bit early, just a little bit early. Yeah, short should be going about another 20 laps before they should be on pit
17's
road.
On pit road.
Short pitting or precautionary with all the tire troubles we're seeing?
I think it's probably that. I think they're probably making sure they don't have a flat tire. Boy, I don't know. Gordon looked like he had a pretty long stop.
Our last pit stop came on lap 92. We're at lap 112. That's 20 laps. We should be at least able to go to 125 to 127.
17 had a long stop.
Now both should be able to get out on the lead. No, they're going to lose a lap, both of them. Here comes Carl Edwards, Brian Vickers. Going to put both Jeff Gordon and Matt Kenseth a lap down.
So now it'll be a battle between those guys to try to be the first car a lap down. Jeff Gordon now with 4 fresh tires, he should be able to stay in front of Brian Vickers, so he would do it the hard way. Right here we're seeing a battle for 4th between Mark Martin in the 6th, Jimmy Johnson in the 48. He's starting to pick these cars up now and lay them down. He just went by Kevin Harvick a couple laps ago with a 29.
And some good pit strategy on the 48 part, make up some track position. Won 2 races here last year, you know. Larry, these cars are running almost 57 seconds around here. That's a good 1.5 seconds slower than what they've run here in the past.
You know, the bad thing about, and you know, we may have more cautions, but should we go green the rest of this race for 86 laps, if cars go to about lap 125 to 127, they would be able to make it on 1 more stop. Jeff Gordon in the 24, Matt Kenseth in the 17 will have to make 2 more stops to make it to the end, lap 200.
Let's get a strategy update on our point leader. Here's Steve.
And Mike, Chad Canals, the crew chief for Jimmy Johnson, told Jimmy just moments ago, he says, hey, the 6th car is reporting a small vibration. Go get him. You're faster than all the cars except for the leader, and he did that. Matt?
Steve, Jeff Gordon hit pit road because he thought he had some kind of tire issue, but all 4 tires were up. He took a precautionary measure, but he didn't have any tires going down on the 24.
Well, when you have 3 tough races in a row, remember they had a vibration problem at Richmond and it put them out of the race, and then tough luck at Charlotte and got crashed at Dover. I don't know, Darrell.
Well, and then when drivers start to hear about from their crews and spotters and so forth, everybody's having a tire problem. Plants that seed. First time that thing does something a little weird, you think it's happening to you.
But I think it goes back to the type of race Jeff Gordon wants to run today. Mission, pick up as many points as possible. You can't do that if you have a problem and you're in the garage or on the back of the tow truck.
Just remember, he came into this race 11th in
Left
points.
front.
You see Scott Riggs, possibly a left front tire down on the 10 car. Enough debris there. We're probably going to see a caution come out.
Inside, outside.
That'll help.
Just get her down on the bottom.
The
Caution is
Okay, the
out.
caution is out.
The 24 will
Caution is
get
out.
that free pass.
Actually, the 24 was back on the lead lap the hard way, Darrell. He was in front of the lead.
You're good.
So Matt Kenseth, I think, possibly
Take your
may get
time.
the free pass.
Hard luck, though, for Scott Riggs and new crew chief Rodney Childers, as they've torn up the left front of their car quite hard.
Guys, have the fire extinguisher ready, too.
See, that's some more of
Just
that.
be nice and easy with it, buddy.
They saw what happened to Dale Jr.'s tire, caught on fire, so they're being prepared, worst case.
Piece by piece. Well, the caution is a benefit for Travis Quaffle, Bobby Hamilton Jr., and Mike Garvey, who were the 3 cars on the lead lap in most danger of going a lap down. They'll cycle around with the rest of the leaders.
Mike Garvey's just doing a whale of a job, Mike, in that 66 car.
Still on the lead lap.
Yeah, and he led a lap, stayed out to lead a lap.
I have so much respect and admiration for teams like that. They take what they got and absolutely get all out of it they can.
And there's something unique about that team is they have a female tire changer, changing the rear tires, Nicole Addison, on Mike Garvey's team.
Went through the Jeff Hammond School, 5 off, 5 on. Now, NASCAR reviewed the tapes and determined at the moment the caution was displayed that Jeff Gordon was not in front of leader Brian Vickers, so Jeff Gordon, not Matt Kenseth, will get the free pass. He was close, but the field is frozen the minute that the caution comes out, and he was still behind leader Brian Vickers.
Well, actually, Carl Edwards, the
Carl
race
Edwards,
leader,
right.
he had
I'm
passed
sorry.
Vickers.
Yes.
You're correct. NASCAR has 12 electronic scoring loops around this racetrack, plus the ones along pit road to aid in that determination. Now, Riggs' car has stopped as pit stops begin. Here's Matt.
Now, Carl Edwards' car a little on the free side. Look for a chassis adjustment. Greg Biffle stopped maybe a little longer. They were talking about adding a spring rubber to fix his handling condition. The 15 of Michael Waltrip in as well. Big crank of wedge. Dick?
You gotta love Kevin Harvick. He came on the radio when the caution flew and said he lacks overall grip. His crew chief, Todd Barrier, came on the radio and described what ought to happen. Asked his driver, what do you think? He said, I don't know, I just drive. Steve.
Pretty aggressive changes for Brian Vickers on the 25. They'll make a track bar adjustment and a wedge adjustment. Meanwhile, Jimmy Johnson, he said his car was free in and tight from the center off. 4 tires and a chassis adjustment for Jimmy Johnson as well.
See the race off pit road. Looks like Kyle Busch in the 5, Ryan Newman in the 12, gaining 3 positions, as well as Joe Nemechek in the 01, gaining 2, as well as Mark Martin gaining 2 positions. This will be the times on pit road, including the stop. You see it right there. Mark Martin in the 6, Kyle Busch in the 5. The real winners, the losers, Jimmy Johnson in the 48, Jeremy Mayfield in the 19, the slowest of the top 10.
Another left front tire problem, this one for Scott Riggs, putting us under caution. And once again, Ryan Vickers wins the race off pit road thanks to Lance McGrew's crew.
This is a Visa race break. Brian Vickers, the lead for the 5th different time today. He's led the most laps, 75 and counting. We have 81 laps to go. Currently under our 5th caution. Tires so much a part of the story. Early though for Kurt Busch, it was about just kind of keeping things under control. See him get into Terry Labonte a little bit. At the time, Kurt was running 27th. And he was up to 12th. Now he is 17th, the defending points champ. Dale Earnhardt Jr. still looking for that first win of the year. This has been the story all day. Tire problems, especially left front. And look at this, creating a tire on fire. Sorry, Dr. Seuss. And other drivers could relate. In fact, we counted at least 8 drivers with tire problems in this area. Tony Stewart, one of those, eventually taking him a lap down. Chevy led 104 of the first 105 laps, but here Brian Vickers passed Carl Edwards, taking the lead on lap 106. And again, a tire problem. Scott Riggs having this problem.
Yeah, coming down the back straightaway, you can see the left front tire literally coming apart on the 10 car. So not a very good day right now for Scott Riggs in his 10 car.
So Vickers in a Chevy leads Carl Edwards and Mark Martin in Fords with 81 laps to go. This has been a Visa race break. And from the state of Pennsylvania, Honus Wagner, Reggie Jackson born nearby. Fox Saturday baseball game of the weekend. Interleague play. The Cubs take on the Yankees, Marlins, and the Angels, or some will see the Phillies battle the A's. Coverage beginning Saturday. Note that special time, 3 Eastern, 12 Pacific, only on Fox. Jeff Gordon has been in and out, having some problems. Let's get the latest on that from Matt Yoakum. Matt?
Gordon pitted before the caution, thinking he had a tire going down. Then he got the lucky dog. Now he's back in the 30th position. They've made several stops. The car, like it has been pretty much all day, way too loose on entry. He can barely touch the brakes in the back end once it starts to come around. They have made wholesale changes. Spring rubbers in, spring rubbers out, Chris. They have just made a wholesale change on this race car, trying to get it to tighten up.
All right, thanks, Matt. So you see the up and down day. Jeff, what's happening here?
Well, it looks to me like right now we see Robbie Gordon. They had the hood up on that car. They're doing some work on it. It's the second time today they've had the hood up on it. So we talked a little bit early on in the day that engines could kind of have problems as the day progressed. We're just past halfway. So from here on out, anybody who's been kind of abusing the engines, we'll start to see this.
Yeah, tires have been as much an issue as anything else. Mike?
Getting set for the restart. And let's show you first the race off pit road under this 5th caution flag.
Dig, buddy, dig. I think we got it. Pull up like you did.
That's the line that he has to beat Carl Edwards across, and he did. Once again, that end pit spot just paid off again. He only has to move a small distance.
Yeah, but you know, something's funny. Where are the timing lines? I mean, normally they've been on down away from the end of the pit lane there.
Yeah, in this case, they're only, Darrell, about 100 feet, maybe not even past that last pit box.
Yeah.
Most races with Hendrick Motorsports before they got their first win. Jeff Gordon, 42. Brian Vickers is in his 55th start for Rick Hendrick, trying to pick up his first win here. One of the other Hendrick drivers looking for his first win is rookie Kyle Busch. Here's Steve.
Mike, he's having another great run, finished second last week at Dover. Now, when he communicates with his crew chief, Alan Gustafson, the 20-year-old will give him a reading on a scale of 1 to 10. For example, before the last pit stop, he said on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm a 5 in terms of tightness. He is tight, so they made adjustments to that number 5 car, raising the track bar. But again, another great run for Kyle Busch. He also came in 7th, went out 4th.
Thanks, Steve. Tony Stewart just came back in to top off. Now, the first car in line is Matt Kenseth because he stayed out. He had just been in the pits, and right now he's on the tail end of the lead lap behind the pace truck, but in front of leader Brian Vickers.
Right now is when I would start coming in and topping off, because now you got to start thinking about your fuel window, and if this thing goes green, that's going to make the difference.
And we're getting close to that window where one more stop will get you to the end.
As we get ready for a restart, let's check with Dick Bergman.
The first nationally popular hot rod engine was the flathead Ford. Shortly after World War II ended, aftermarket manufacturers Edelbrock, Iskandarian, Wyand, Winfield, and Krager, among others, began to manufacture high-performance parts for flatheads. A smaller version of the flathead was used in midget cars. Flathead Ford engines won thousands of early stock car races. Today's high-performance enthusiasts owe a debt to the flathead Ford, the engine that started it all. Ford, built for the road ahead.
Thanks, Dick. We look at Carl Edwards, who's in second place. Greg Biffle came into the pits 5th, came out 12th. Pole sitter Michael Waltrip came into the pits 12th, came out 22nd.
Yeah, go down there and ask Tony Jr. what's that got to do with stickers? He busted on me a while ago.
All right, let's get set for the restart. It'll come with 78 laps to go in Pocono, Pennsylvania.
And again, what Matt Kenseth, Robbie Reiser did, this is the point I was trying to make earlier in the race about Dale Earnhardt Jr., not that it matters for him now. Get those 4 tires, even if you go a lap down, you catch a quick caution, you can stay out, as Matt Kenseth did in the 17 car.
He's holding Vickers up there, particularly in the middle of the turn. It's going to allow some of those other cars that are lap down to try to get on the inside there.
Yeah, Casey Kane, right now, we're looking at him. He's actually 3 laps down in the 9 car after having a couple of problems. But we got battle for second between teammates. Mark Martin in the 6. He's going to take that position away from Carl Edwards. And look at Kyle Busch in the 5. He's going to try to take 3rd.
The wily veteran against the enthusiastic rookies. Don't you just love it?
But there's 2 guys right there that they don't know anything about this joint.
Yeah, Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch making their first Pocono start in Nextel Cup.
We heard last week that Mark Martin paid Kyle Busch the ultimate compliment from a veteran like him. You drive like you've been running these tracks your whole life.
I love this racetrack. 5 wide down the front stretch, but they know better. You get 2 wide going into turn 1.
And 1 wide coming out.
Whoa, man, the 42 made a little contact there with the 4 car.
4 car's Mike Wallace, who's actually 1 lap down right now, back in 32nd.
Comes Tony. It really hurt the 42, Jamie McMurray's momentum.
Vickers pulls away by 0.7 of a second. But his young teammate, and it's hard to imagine a 21-year-old having a young teammate, but Kyle Busch is coming.
But don't you see what's happened here? The 48 and the 24 have been the dominant Hendrick cars. The other 2 didn't even exist. But now that organization has picked up, and the 5 and the 25 are helping the whole program. And Robbie Gordon, who's had his hood up a couple of times, Larry, just shot on pit road.
And I think the thing we forget, Brian Vickers, our leader in the 25, he's only 21 years old. Kyle Busch in the 5 just turned 20 years old.
One big change over there, as we heard on Speed Channel's NASCAR this morning, is the transferring within that organization of Brian Whitesell from coordinator for the 24 and 48 to coordinator between the 5 and the 25 team. He brings a lot of experience over there with him, and I think both teams have really made ground as a result.
And you know why these owners like these young drivers, other than the fact they're young, is because they don't demand anything. You can hire them. You don't have to pay them $2 million. They'll do anything. They don't care. If it's 80 appearances, I'll do 80 appearances.
Now there's Kevin Harvick running right behind Newman in 8th place. Let's check with Dick.
Well, there's worry in Kevin Harvick's pit, Mike. He has called to his crew and told them he thinks he had a flat tire. They were all up on the wall. It seems to have relaxed now. The crew has come off the wall. Matt?
Now, Dick, the 15 car, Michael Waltrip, lost some positions on pit road. Now, he'd been fighting a tight condition pretty much most of the afternoon. They made a number of changes, track bar, wedge, and air pressure. But Larry Mack, what's the biggest adjustment on pit road that takes the most time?
Pulling spring rubbers out or putting a spring rubber in can cost you a lot of time on pit road. That's when you resort to them to the last time. You know, that's a last resort.
They added a spring rubber to the right rear. That's what took so much time on pit road.
Thanks, Matt. Robbie Gordon's had the hood up one too many times. They're going to push the Harris Chevrolet to the garage area where he will join Scott Riggs, Jason Leffler, Kyle Petty, Morgan Shepherd, and Greg Sachs.
And that's a shame for that Harris Chevrolet because, I mean, he has had such a great run going here, and I think this race team's getting where they need to get if they can get the engine program caught up with them.
Hard-fought battle for 21st between Rusty Wallace and Dale Jarrett. 29 cars on the lead lap, the last of which is Travis Quaffle, who won the ARCA race here yesterday in a Penske Dodge. Brian Vickers 1.2 seconds out in front of Carl Edwards with 74 laps to go in the Pocono 500.
The Pocono 500 on Fox, presented by Subway, brought to you by Nextel. Go to foxsports.com to find out how you can be the Nextel Fan of the Week. Glad to have you watching NASCAR on Fox. Obviously a race fan here at Pocono with 70 laps to go. If you're the Ultimate Baseball fan, watch the 2005 Major League Baseball All-Star Game live on Fox, July 12th, 8 Eastern. And get the password for your chance to win the Pepsi Go Pro Major League Baseball Pass Sweepstakes. Pepsi, the official drink of Major League Baseball. Right now, Brian Vickers leading Carl Edwards. You know, Mike Joy was talking about his young teammate Kyle Busch, who's 20. Vickers 21. The youngest winner at Pocono ever was a guy named Jeff Gordon, who won at the age of 24 years old. You heard Darrell talking about experience, young drivers, guys that haven't raced here before but having some success, like Carl Edwards as well.
Carl Edwards, Brian Vickers leading right now. And another thing, I don't think these guys pointed this out, but the last time somebody in the 25 car won the first time they won here for Hendrick Motorsports was a 25 car with Tim Richmond driving back in 1986. We can look at Carl Edwards right now chasing the 25 car in second place.
And Hendrick Motorsports 10 Pocono wins with 5 different drivers, Gordon and Jimmy Johnson part of that. Jimmy, who swept last year, currently running 5th. Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Brian Vickers trying to become only the 2nd driver to score his first career Cup win at Pocono. Jeremy Mayfield is the only one who's done it.
That 25 has a tremendous history here at this racetrack. 2 wins with Tim Richmond. Kenny Schrader sat on the pole a number of times in the 25 car. It has a great history here at this racetrack.
But you know, we talked about Brian Vickers earlier. He's only 21 years old. He graduated from high school 2 years ago. He started driving go-karts and then promoted to Allison Legacy cars, driving for his dad, Clyde Vickers. 2 years ago, he was the heir to the 5 Busch car. When Ricky Hendrick decided to lay his helmet down and not drive anymore, he was our Busch Series champion 2 years ago, and then he tapped into the 25 car. And speaking of his dad, Clyde Vickers, almost every valve and every engine in this race was made by his company, CV Products.
A lot of racing heritage there. And Vickers, he was fast at Charlotte, got himself into trouble. But at Dover and here at Pocono, he has driven tremendously. He's driven like the Busch Series champion he is. He's been fast. He's been out front. Had a good finish last week, and he has led the most laps here.
Even back a little further to Phoenix, where he finished 6th. That's really when I saw the tide turn with this team.
Now, in the previous run, Carl Edwards made a comment to his crew chief, Bob Osborne. He was talking about the tunnel turn, turn 2. He said the car was just extremely loose through those bumps, and he was backing off, taking it a little easier through that area. So even though he's a young gun, not listed as a rookie, never raced here before, but driving like a veteran, Dean, he's talking about those bumps like a lot of drivers have this weekend over the tunnel turn.
Yeah, I think I mentioned, Matt, a lot of the guys told me when they first got here, it would literally jerk the front tires off the ground. That's how rough it was. And, of course, everybody adjusts for a situation like that. Much better now. And Harvick, yeah, I got to believe that we're going to take a look at Harvick here. I got to believe that his would be one of the worst because of the shocks that he runs. Watch this thing. Bam. Bam, bam. He's getting, look at that thing rock and roll.
But you can see how much down on the ground that car is. You've been talking about it, an aggressive shock package to help it down these long straightaways.
Oh, hoppy.
Let's pick up at 4th place in Mark Martin, because if you take the first 3 drivers and add the ages of any 2 of them together, they would almost come to the amount of age and experience inside this number 6.
Well, age. Nowhere near the experience.
Yeah,
you're exactly right, though.
But Mark has 36 starts here, 18 top 5s, 25 top 10s, but never has found victory lane at Pocono.
Jimmy Johnson came in here as the point leader and has come from the back to run pretty solid in 5th place, 7 seconds off the lead. And that should allow him to retain his point lead heading for Michigan next Sunday. Joe Nemechek just had the tiniest bit of contact with Tony Stewart earlier. Otherwise, he's had a trouble-free day. Running in 6th place is Nemechek right now. He's 8 seconds back of the leader. Here's Steve.
Pretty nice run.
Having a real nice run, DW. He started 17th up into 6th. Hey, last July, he led 31 laps here before finishing 16th. He also has Hendrick Power. Joe Nemechek also reporting he has just turned his brake blowers off to help that race car.
The thing about Joe Nemechek in the 01, he had great runs here in both races last year. Qualified 2nd, 3rd, was running in the top 10. Had transmission problems in both races. Probably don't have to worry about that today. No shifting.
I'd say you're right.
Kevin Harvick, GM Goodwrench Chevrolet of Richard Childress. He is the 5th Chevrolet on the board. 5 Chevys and 2 Fords in the top 7.
I don't think I've ever seen a car bounce around like that one is and run as well as it is. I mean, he's obviously running pretty good.
And Pocono has not been that good to him. 8 starts here and only 1 top 10 finish.
Ryan Newman in the Alltel Dodge saw his string of top 10 starts end here, but he's had a strong race and has been in contention all day. Newman running in 8th, just ahead of point standing runner-up Greg Biffle in the Post-it National Guard car.
But I like Newman's consistency, Larry. Last year he was erratic. Set on the pole and then never knew what was going to happen, get lapped, and the car didn't handle good. But this year, been much more consistent.
Yeah, especially over the last month, he's been on the road because the last 3 races, 3 consecutive top 10 finishes. 4 consecutive.
Elliott Sadler 10th inside the middle in a trio of Fords. He is 12 seconds off the lead in that Robert Yates M&M's Ford.
They made some good adjustments on that car, Larry, because at the start of the race, he fell all the way back to 34th or 5th place. So he's made a nice recovery, as well as Kurt Busch, who almost spun out early in the race.
Had to go to the rear of the field after qualifying on the front row. And yeah, on lap 29, he was sideways down in turn 1.
Brought out the first caution of the day, but has rebounded nicely. He's 12.5 seconds back of the leader with 63 to go. The rest of the top 15, Mayfield, Jeff Burton, McMurray, and Terry Labonte. For the lead.
I think coming off the turn 3 here, is that Biffle?
Headed for pit road. It is.
Raise the hood, see what we got.
Something was wrong.
He's got no brakes, Darrell.
Had to stop him.
That would be the 3rd Roush car here this weekend that has had some type of brake issue. Mark Martin has been fighting them all week. Kurt Busch had a leaking O-ring this morning, had to go to the rear of the field. Matt Yoakum, 3rd Roush car with brake problems this weekend.
Greg Biffle says he has no brakes. They're going to raise the hood, see what else they can do. They're going to take off that left front tire. Tough break for the guy who came into Pocono. 2nd in points. There's also smoke coming out of the left rear.
But Jeff Hammond, you and I walked through that garage area on Friday, and we looked. We felt like a lot of these teams were taking brakes for granted here, not a lot of cooling. And you talked about it in the pre-race, how much brakes these guys were going to use without having the downshift.
Larry, it's been so many years that they have not been here at Pocono. We have not been able to, shift cars. I think it's caught a lot of these guys by some surprise. You and I did talk about how you almost need to go back and grab your Martinsville package and put some air to these brakes if you want to run 500 miles aggressively.
I think I'd be more concerned about wear. I think that'd be the big thing.
I know who Brian Vickers is concerned with right now, that blue number 99 car, because he's a-coming.
Here's Steve.
And Larry Mack, Brian Vickers has been talking to Lance McGrew about that 99, and Lance is really working on the mental part of this race with 21-year-old Brian Vickers. He said, you stay focused on what's ahead of you, not behind. He's also been reminding him to get something to drink when he can. And the one thing he's repeated several times, and DW, you say it all the time, Lance McGrew said, don't beat yourself. Stay focused.
Yeah, don't beat yourself by staying by staying focused and don't race anybody right now. It's not necessary.
Now, interesting, as he pointed Carl Edwards by, earlier Edwards was told, don't get up so close behind Michael Waltrip and race him hard. I wonder what they told Edwards now as he went after Brian Vickers and passed him.
But this is the second time going off into turn 1. It happened in a run earlier. Brian Vickers saw the 99 Carl Edwards catch him. Same place on the racetrack. Pass me to the inside. That way we do not lose a lot of time to third place Kyle Busch in the 5. Smart racing on this young man.
And Edwards passes Vickers in a place where it does not slow the 25 car down.
No, you point him inside, you roll up the hill and let him go by.
Tires have been a big story today, particularly left front tires as Greg Biffle returns to the race. Ricky Rudd and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Rudd and Jr. again, Ryan Newman, Tony Stewart, and Scott Riggs have all had problems with the left front. Dick Berggren can update us.
I just talked to Goodyear engineer Rick Heinrich, Mike, and it's not just one thing, it's a whole collection of things. We know that the corduroy that you're looking at on your screen right now is part of it. Heinrich said, you can see the black mark there, Heinrich said people who are running so low in the turn that they're catching that corduroy will severely damage the tire. You can imagine that a tire running through there at high speed doesn't like it. But running into the corduroy isn't the only problem. As well, running too little air pressure in the left front, running too aggressive a camber in the left front, and of course a couple of people have run into some other folks, and that makes a difference. And so does body panels. If the fender bracket is hitting the tire, it's going to tear the tire up. So it's been a lot of stuff, and it's the left front that's taken the abuse.
And what Doc is talking about is this area right here. That's like rumble strips, and it's on the inside of the tunnel turn. It's on the inside of turn 1 down there, and that's rough. I mean, they're just little rough places, just like out on the interstate, and that can really work that inside tire, that left front tire, until it blows out or tears up.
Never heard them called corduroy.
Man, I was worried to death.
I thought alligator teeth.
I knew it was hot out there, and I said, what are they doing with corduroy? But you know, up here they also call this macadam.
58 laps to go.
We don't
in the
want to ask
Pocono
about
zone. Carl Edwards out in front by 0.6 of a second.
.54 laps to go. NASCAR on Fox here at Pocono. Carl Edwards leading Brian Vickers and Kyle Busch. And the Goodyear Blimp celebrating their 80th birthday this year. We have a crash in turn 2. Mike, take it.
Kevin LePage has crashed hard while running 5 laps down.
So
number 37.
Over to tunnel turn there, I'm not sure what happened. It's a one-car accident.
And the window net down well before that car came to a halt, Darrell. LePage, that's the sign that he is okay, a sign to the NASCAR officials, but it almost looked as if he was looking to bail out of there.
Yeah, I think he just probably a little upset.
This caution comes on the heels or right before, about 5 or 10 laps before these teams were going to have to make a green flag stop. Who that benefits, though, Casey Kane, who had just drove by the leaders, he'll get one of his 2 laps back the hard way.
He passed those cats and went off and left them at that last restart.
A tough break for LePage. They have been really trying without sponsorship to run this car and do well with it. He's been a good qualifier with it and had to time his way in into each race. There's Travis Quaffle. We'll see LePage.
Whoa, man. That almost had brake trouble written on it.
No
the way he was
tire down or something.
Yeah, something let go because he was down on the apron or down in the grass getting there, and that just has a look of something happening to the brakes. Actually,
you saw the dirt. He got way down, way inside the alligator's teeth or corduroy, but
or rumble strips or whatever those things.
Whatever that is.
The biggest thing Kevin LePage trying to accomplish making these races with a good run is trying to get in the top 35 in owner points. He was gaining on it. He was up to 37th, but this will cost him here because he will not finish this race.
Pit crews at the ready for stops, and you see the quarter panels and hood on that car blank. One of the independent drivers, as we call them, that's had great luck securing sponsors, didn't make the race, but Kirk Shelmerdine had a lot of local sponsors on his car. We're going to tell you next week about where they all come from, but here's a hint. Type Shelmerdine into the search engine on eBay.
Looks like possibly Carl Edwards is going to get an ice pack on this pit stop here.
And don't forget, Larry, last night he was in Nashville until the wee hours of the morning, And so he probably didn't get back in here until late last night. I know he's a young man. I know he's in great shape. He loves to work out. But 500 miles around this joint.
Now
That's a hard day's night.
The Nashville Busch Race rained out. It is being run today, and you will see it over on FX, our Fox cable partner, after the conclusion of this telecast.
Now we know we will see all 28 lead lap cars to pit road 4 times and adjustments, but with 52 laps to go, this will not be the last stop. Matt Yoakum.
Leader Carl Edwards brings the parade down pit road. Now Edwards says the car is still just a tick on the free side. Bob Osborne, as crew chief, said, how about a quarter turn of wedge? Edwards said, I want a heavy quarter turn of wedge. His Roush teammate Mark Martin, he says his car is tighter right now. His team is going to try to fix that car with a slight air pressure adjustment today.
Now, Happy Harvick is running the top 10 all day long, but moments before that caution flag, he hit the wall just a little bit. Didn't even take the yellow off.
Brian Vickers saying that his car is loose in the tunnel turn. Meanwhile, his teammate Kyle Busch had a little trouble getting stopped in his pit box. Air pressure adjustments and track bar on the 25 of Vickers. Down on the track bar for the 5 of Kyle Busch. 1 pound out of the left rear tire.
And you see
the race off pit road.
You see right there to back up what Steve was talking about. Kyle Busch loses 6th position. They had to back him up. Most everyone else gaining or losing 1 or 2 positions. This will show the time on pit road, including the stop. You can see right there supporting Kyle Busch, as well as Ryan Newman, the slower of the times. Brian Vickers, Carl Edwards, our top 2, the quickest times.
I think that part of that sliding through the pits is, again, is tire or brake wear.
Wow, that's close at the end of pit road.
It's been that way about every time.
Tip your hat to these guys. You tip your hat to Lance McGrew for choosing that pit box.
52 laps to go in the Pocono 500, presented on Fox by Subway.
The Pocono 500 on Fox, presented by Subway, is brought to you by UPS. We're going to race the truck. People love the truck. UPS, the official delivery company of NASCAR, delivers the chance to win 4 tickets to next year's Daytona 500. Go to foxsports.com, keyword UPS. 50 laps to go. Brian Vickers leading Carl Edwards, but it's been that close. At least 7 cars with left front tire problems on a hot, humid, muggy day. It got hotter for Dale Earnhardt Jr., who went 5 laps down after having 2 different tire problems over a 10-lap span. Tony Stewart, some problems as well. This dropping him a lap down. Meanwhile, Michael Waltrip and Brian Vickers dominating the first half of the race. Greg Biffle with brake trouble. 62 laps to go. The Subway National Guard car goes 3 laps down. He came in second in points today. Carl Edwards taking the lead for the second time on lap 140, getting ahead of Brian Vickers. The caution that came out moments ago here, Kevin LePage running at the back of the pack. May have had brake problems as well. Seemed to be okay. Taken to the care unit. We'll keep an eye on that. And on the pit stops, Jeff Hammond, Brian Vickers, fastest one out.
Fastest one out. Another great selection by the 25 car. Barely edges out Carl Edwards, so he gets a chance to go back in the lead. And guys, take a look right here. Look at the ages of the young man out in front of Mark Martin, 21, 25. And Chris, my math, I think it kind of adds up to Mark Martin's age of 46, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Darrell, Mike?
Well, I don't think they quite add up to Mark's enthusiasm for this sport and his will to win. This is going to be interesting with 50 to go. Scott Riggs has returned to the race after left front tire problems. So in the garage now, LePage, Robbie Gordon, Leffler, Petty, Shepard, and Sachs. Everyone else who was taken to the care center has been released. And we'll update John Kevin LePage, but we did see him walk away from the car.
And what happened to Scott Riggs when he blew that left front tire, it ripped an oil line off, and they had to replace it in the garage area.
Green flag, 21-year-old Brian Vickers, the Busch Series champion. Out in front of Carl Edwards, both trying to win their first Nextel Cup race. Veteran Mark Martin trying to win for the first time at Pocono. In third, Kevin Harvick, Joe Nemechek, Jimmy Johnson, Elliott Sadler.
Riding with Ricky Rudd right now in the 21 car, has had several left front tire problems, trying his best to get 1 of 2 laps back.
Harvick peeks out to the inside. Darrell, you want to go through that tunnel turn 2 abreast. You want to be prepared to hold your breath all the way through.
Yeah, and it slows both cars down, really. I mean, a lot of times you catch yourself in a situation where you can't help it, but really you're slowing yourself down when you do that. Kind of got to time it just right, where you fall in behind that guy, get a good run across that short chute, and dive under and going into 3. That's the really cool thing to do.
We've seen a lot of trouble with brakes today. 3 of the Roush cars. Kyle Busch sliding through his pit from locking up the brake. Mike Garvey sliding through his pit because he couldn't get stopped. Matt Yoakum can update us on some of those troubles.
Greg Biffle, second in points, been running in the top 10. What failed on the brakes, Doug?
It looks like it's wore the rear pad so bad that the actual pucks came out of the calipers. So I don't know why. It's a normal package we always run here. I don't know if it's the smaller spoilers and definitely the less gear we've got without shifting. It's a lot harder on the brake system. So it's unfortunate right now for the National Guard Ford, and we're just trying to survive and get as many points as we can.
Now he's running in 30-30. He came into Pocono only 46 points out of the lead.
One of the things and the reason I talked about it early on and I've mentioned it a number of times that we used to deal with here when we didn't shift was wearing out the brakes. I mean, we just flat wore them out.
Well, most racetracks we go to, if it's an oval, you use it 2 times a lap. Here, it's 3 times a lap.
And it's hard braking to turn 1 down here and then into turn 3 as well. Not too bad at the tunnel, but 1 and 3, you're standing on with both feet.
Tell you who has about one of the better cars right now. We talked about him a while ago, Casey Kane in that 9 car. He just drove by Mark Martin, who's the 3rd place car, but Casey is still 2 laps down trying to make him up.
And look who's still battling each other. Rusty Wallace and Dale Jarrett continue to battle for position with Terry Labonte just in front of them, trying to stay or get into the top 20.
And the biggest thing, Rusty Wallace, is we're riding with Dale Jarrett. Rusty Wallace is trying to battle back from over 100 laps ago, speeding on pit road. He's never overcome that just yet.
Now, Tony Stewart got the free pass last time. You see his orange Chevrolet peeked to the inside. He's up to 23rd after getting back on the lead lap and now goes after Wallace. Scott Wimmer had a loose car early in the race off turn number 3, but he's holding well in the top 20, bringing Jeff Gordon along with him. And as we ride with Jeff Burton, here's our next singular virtual crew chief question. Has the gear rule leveled the playing field? Well, that's a good question.
Yes, it is.
I think what it's done is on the other racetracks other than Daytona and Talladega, it has become a restrictor plate. And one of the engine builders told me that it is driving them crazy and it's costing them a lot of money because they're having to redevelop their engines, different bores, different strokes, different combinations to get the power down where they can use it. And it was suggested to me by that engine builder that they should put a rev limiter. Uh-oh, 22 cars got a problem.
Does he have a left front tire down or something? I'm just trying to look.
That'd be a good bet.
Left front, tire left front.
Left front.
Left front tire. I think that's what he told his crew chief.
I don't. That tire doesn't look that low. That looks like some other issue.
Don't look as bad as the other ones that we've seen.
No, and it's not smoking. He's broken a sway bar, a shock. Something's collapsed in the left corner of that car.
But what a shame. His best qualifying run of the year, qualified 11th. He was running in the top 15.
Something broke on the car.
I don't think he had the left front down. Something's broke on that left front.
Yeah, you see the whole wheel and tire is way up in the fender well, as if something in that suspension has broken.
What a shame.
Jimmy Johnson, the point leader, trying to take over 5th from Joe Nemechek in the Army Chevrolet.
And trying to pad that point lead, Greg Biffle back out in the race 3 laps down in 34th.
Nemechek's had a strong run here today. Darrell, you were talking about the Hendrick 25, and Nemechek had some good runs here in that car as well.
He did, and this has been one of Joe's better racetracks. And it's, you know, Hendrick power. They got good power. We know that. All the Hendrick cars are running great this year.
So right now, with Greg Biffle in 34th position, 4 laps down, the margin would climb from 46 to 140, and the momentum would swing back toward the Hendrick camp.
And if you're 400 points behind, you're kind of wondering and hoping and thinking, boy, what if Jimmy Johnson had a problem today too? And of course, Jimmy Johnson's thinking that as well.
See Elliott Sadler to the 38 car, the man that came in here third in the points, back in 8th position. He was just passed by Kyle Busch in the 5 car, trying to overcome that pit road problem of sliding through his pits. A nice recovery in a hurry, though.
But because he's running 3 points behind Jimmy Johnson, he would gain on Biffle, but would not gain on the leader.
We just get the report that Scott Wimmer, the 22 car, broke a left lower control arm, one of the suspension parts.
So he's headed for the garage.
That's the reason it looks all laid in like that.
You know, he's talking about Nemechek there, and he's close right up behind Jimmy Johnson and Kevin Harvick both. Steve, what are they saying about the 01 car?
Darrell, they're trying to keep up with this racetrack. Joe just said the last set of tires I had were loose. This set feels a little tight. They made adjustments on that last stop. They dropped the track bar, but added some wedge to that 01 car.
Whatever they did, it's boy, Jimmy Johnson got his hands full right there.
He has the last 2 or 3 corners in the 48 car.
And there's the 5 car making up that ground that he lost, sliding through his pit box. And look at him go.
Just driving around the outside of these guys.
What in the world?
Gained 2 positions over in turn 3. Kyle Busch in the 5.
Oh, that was a power move.
That was a move right there, boys.
Not what those boys expected.
What do we say about rookies, Darrell? They don't know what they don't know. He didn't know you couldn't do that, so he did it.
There's a lot of racetrack out there. I might as well use it.
Right.
Nobody else is.
And it worked.
But no matter what, with that last pit stop coming with 52 laps to go, now we have 41 to go. We know all these cars will have to make at least one final stop if we stay green very late in this race.
A couple of the recurring problems we've seen, tires, brakes have been a recurring issue, and what just happened to Scott Wimmer, a lower control arm failure. Jeff Hammond's at the cutaway car.
Mike, here's a lower control arm that probably is a lot like was on Scott Wimmer's car. As rough as this racetrack, a lot of times as much load as we put on these springs, this is where the lower spring goes. It goes right underneath this part. This is what holds the lower part of the ball joint connected to the spindle where this tire rolls. A lot of times if you're going to have a problem, you can see where this has been plated up. These arms themselves may be fatigued and may collapse. They got a lot of load on this left front. We've seen because of the tire problem today, a lot of stress floated right here on this lower control arm. Now, while we're down here, I want to show you also, we were talking about Greg Biffle had brake problems. Take a look over here on the cutaway engine area. This is a rear caliper, part of the rear hand housing. Here is a brake pad. It's fairly new. This is a worn one. And what Doug Richards said, this wore excessively to the point that it literally wore down and the puck kicked out. Just like that, allows all the brake fluid to run out. No brakes on the number 16 car. They had to make repairs.
Thanks, Jeff. We're closing in on 40 laps to go.
Yeah, I just wish one time, Larry, for your sake, this had come down to some sort of calculating gas mileage and pit strategy.
I love strategy. My calculator's smoking.
40 laps to go and one more pit stop for everybody.
When's it gonna come?
I'll let you know.
Fox is presented by Subway. Experience the great taste of a fresh toasted sub today. Subway, eat fresh. And brought to you by Visa, proud sponsor of NASCAR. By new M3 Power from Gillette. Feel the power of the world's best shave. And by Goodyear Forterra. Tough on the outside, soft on the inside.
36 laps to go with a lead battle heating up. We'll mention that Kevin LePage was checked at the infield care center and released after crashing to bring out the 6th caution at lap 146. Carl Edwards is closing in on Brian Vickers a little bit each lap we listened in.
Starting to gain, baby. Just concentrate on your marks. Stay off of those ripples. Be smooth. All in front.
Stay off that corduroy, boy.
It's all in front of you.
Keep that left front tire off that corduroy.
But this is pretty much a replay that we have seen time and time again. Brian Vickers wins the battle off pit road. Somewhere about 15 to 20 laps into the green flag run, Carl Edwards in the 99 runs him down. And if history repeats, as they go off into turn 1 in a few laps, Brian Vickers will motion him to the inside, as he's done 2 other times.
I like the way the 99 car looks, Larry. It sits really flat through the turns. Now, the 25, he rolls over a good bit. Here's a good battle right here for 7th and 8th place.
Ryan Newman in the 12 goes by our points leader, Jimmy Johnson.
But that 25, when I watch him go through these flat turns down there, he's rolled over quite a bit, way over on the right front. The 99 is real nice and flat. See that 25, how it's rolled over on the right front and the left rear kicked up? Right behind him, Carl's car is much flatter.
So Vickers trying to get his first ever Nextel Cup win. And Carl Edwards trying to get Jack Roush's first ever Pocono win. A lot riding right here. Steve?
Mike just heard Brian Vickers say that his car is getting tight right there, getting into turn 1.
And if it's getting tight now, Steve, with no one in front of him, if Carl Edwards gets in front of him, it's probably going to magnify that tightness getting in the corner. Takes the downforce away.
It's a long way back to 3rd place Mark Martin. 5 seconds behind these two.
Mark setting up for another top 5 finish. Second 6 times. Might make it 7 today.
The Major League All-Star Game, July 12th on Fox in high definition. And here's DJ, who continues to run in 21st, right behind Bobby Labonte, and just ahead of Rusty Wallace.
Bobby Labonte in that 18 car. Great qualifying run yesterday, but we knew early in the race he was really fighting some handling problems. Seems like he's still fighting them to some degree.
And I can't get over the sound of the engines compared to what we normally hear. Normally they're singing like an Indy car. Today they're like dump trucks. Listen.
Oh my gosh, Ricky Rudd. Another flat left front tire.
Is that 3 or 4?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a lot.
Could be 5. I think at one point Dick Berggren said there were 4 of them stacked up behind his pit.
Now he's 3 laps down in 31st.
Now is Kyle Busch short pitting, Steve?
That's exactly what they're doing, Mike Joy. He and Crew Chief Alan Gustafson have been talking about it. Now let's watch as this 5 car comes down pit road. They have also discussed whether or not to take 2 tires. Again, discussing back and forth. You see them changing the right side tires. And let's see if they go around to do the lefts or just take those rights. It is 2 tires.
Jeremy Mayfield's also in, Matt.
Jeremy Mayfield, who already has a couple wins here at Pocono. Service already complete, and he is away.
I think that was also just right side tires on Mayfield. Ricky Rudd is back out after left side tires.
Now these stops, they come with 32 laps to go. We know they can make it to the end from here. It's been 20 laps since they made those last pit stops. There we go again. Carl Edwards off into turn 1, trying to take the lead away from Brian Vickers.
No finger this time, Larry.
No.
Go ahead, dude.
If Brian didn't wave him by. Now here's Joe Nemechek, one of the top 5 cars, onto pit road. And here's Edwards looking for the lead on the left of your screen.
No passing finger is what I was talking about. No,
right.
Go on, Dave.
The index finger.
Right.
The good one. Steve?
And a chassis adjustment for Joe Nemechek. 1 turn out of the left rear as they come around to change those left side tires. Joe Nemechek has been saying on this set of tires his car is loose. 14-second stop.
There with 32 laps to go, and you're able to stay on the lead lap. I like the 4 tires that 01 just did, because it appears that he'll stay on the lead lap.
He'll stay on the lead lap, and it just gives you so much more to work with. I just think you're shooting yourself in the foot with 2 right now.
Pit board's out for Sterling Marlin as we see green flag stops continue.
Don't forget that 5 car last week at Dover. That baby took 2 tires all day long and ended up second.
But what I like about having the 4 tires, if we run 3 or 4 laps here and we have a caution, Joe Nemechek can stay out. I do not think the 5, Kyle Busch, and the 19, Jeremy Mayfield, can with only 2 tires.
Yeah, one thing I used to preach, remember, this ain't Dover.
Here's Dick.
Well, Sterling Marlin's going to do what he did earlier in this race, Mike. He's going to take just 2 tires. They've called it. They've got him on. He's out of here.
Well, the difference must be that these cars are toward the tail end of the lead lap, whereas Nemechek was a top 5 car and had the luxury of spending a little more time on pit road.
So right now we've had 4 cars at a stop. All of them have taken just right side tires, which could be their final stop, except for Joe Nemechek, who took 4.
Larry, what I'm kind of wondering about here is we see these veterans and some other guys, you know, making pit strategies. When you look at these 2 guys up front here, as 99 gets ready to put some more pressure on Brian Vickers for the lead, this rookie has never made a green flag stop here at Pocono under this kind of pressure. Brian Vickers, same type of scenario. Could they possibly make a mistake that could cost them? As Carl Edwards makes that lead change just right there at the tunnel turn.
Edwards back in front as Ryan Newman and point leader Jimmy Johnson come to the pit lane.
Bet he gets 4.
Steve?
Yeah, 4 tires for Jimmy Johnson. They will make an adjustment. 1 round out of the right rear. Jimmy Johnson is away. Look for Ryan Newman to stop shortly and go fuel only.
Well, Steve, that's already happened. Ryan Newman just pitted, and it appeared, we're going to double check, they did fuel only. Let's watch the replay of this pit stop. Ryan Newman in the 12 comes to the attention of Matt Borland and that 12 crew. There you see it, fuel only. They only need about 3 or 4 seconds of fuel. Boy, I don't know. As long as they were there, I believe I'd have taken me right side tires.
If you got to put a can of fuel in, you got time to take 2 tires.
3rd place point man Elliott Sadler. He's going to get 4.
Well, I like it though. It's kind of fun. 2, none, 4. It's different strokes for different folks.
Just like every corner of this racetrack, Darrell, when you come down to final pit stops, it's all different here.
Somebody's getting black flagged.
Sterling Marlin. There's the mistake that Jeff Hammond talked about, but not by a rookie, by a veteran. We'll find out what the penalty is.
Well, let's see what happened here. Watch, it's a tire violation, we're told. Oh, just outside the pit box.
No, what the rule is there's an imaginary line down the center of the pit box. Before the car can leave, all equipment, tires included, jack included, has to be to the left side, to the wall side of the pit box.
So despite that little backflip kick, didn't help.
Didn't help.
And Elliott Sadler, too fast entering the pits. He'll be back in.
And that will put these guys 1 lap down for sure. But I think what these teams are doing, Darrell, the last caution came in the pit stop with about 52 to go. It's like they're slicing it in half. They're taking full advantage of 20 to 25 laps on one set of tires, 20 to 25 on the other, especially the teams changing 4 tires.
Still like 4 tires, and I'm not sure about that gas only.
Now, Marlin has been black flagged twice. If he comes around again, he may see the black flag with the orange cross, which would indicate that his scorecard has been pulled if he doesn't come in and make the penalty stop.
In the old days, we had 3 laps. But now with radio communications the way it is, spotter, crew chief, whomever, they don't give you that luxury anymore.
Let's get the answer to our virtual crew chief question from Singular Wireless. I think I know where this is going to go. Well, not by a big margin, but folks think yes. The gear rule has somewhat leveled the playing field.
I think it's one of those things that slipped up on everybody. I don't think anybody realized what that was going to have, the effect it was actually going to have. I think it's the law of unintended consequences.
There's Scott Riggs, a 10 car who just went back out there after repairing that oil line slow on the racetrack. We also saw Sterling Marlin in the 40 on his drive-through, a pass-through, which means he just has to come down pit road, not stop at his pit box, maintain 55 miles per hour.
Kevin Harvick surrenders a top 5 position to make his final stop. And he's going to get at least right side stick.
Well, he's probably going to get fourth. The looks of things here, Mike. And he was very happy with his car, which is why they stayed out as long as they did. They're going to make no chassis adjustments at all to this automobile. They've adjusted it several times today, and now they've got it right for the final run of the checker.
Casey Mears and Tony Stewart also making pit stops. Stewart is a lead lap car. He came in 10th. So Carl Edwards is out in front of Brian Vickers now by 1.5 seconds. Let's hear what the lead team is talking about.
You know what's happening, Bob, but just think if we don't have any tires and a caution comes out, we could be dead. Just thinking about it, baby. You don't have a choice now, Bobby.
And that's everybody trying to help Bob Osborne. That's the spotter. That's everybody saying, here's what's going on. Here's what I see. Here's what you got to think about.
Mark Martin in the 6 took 4 tires. Jamie McMurray's in, Dick.
Going to be 4 tires for McMurray as well.
Jamie McMurray had a good qualifying run, started 4th. That they were going to have the best day they might have had all year long, but the car just has been tight all day long. Taking 4 tires for the run to the checkers.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jeff Green make stops. Scott Riggs has made it to pit road. Let's show you Jamie McMurray's entry.
Got a feeling he'll be changing 4 tires, Larry.
And he did, but he's just trying to get all he could, get down to 55 miles per hour before that timing line started.
This is one of those pit roads where you can come off of turn 3 really, really hard, and you got to run to the end of pit road here. It slips right up on you with the timing line they got now.
But the entrance to pit road's a little bit down the straightaway, unlike in the middle of the corner at a lot of racetracks.
Now, Elliott Sadler has not yet made his pass through for the speeding penalty. NASCAR is advised that next time by they will pull his scorecard. Now, as for the leaders, Edwards, Vickers, Kurt Busch, Michael Waltrip, Jeff Gordon, and up in the top 10 now, it's cycled around to Terry Labonte, Dale Jarrett, Rusty Wallace, and Bobby Labonte in the top 10. When will they stop?
The Pocono 500 on Fox, presented by Subway, is brought to you by State Farm. Great service, great rates. That's why 40 million drivers trust State Farm.
Jeff Gordon has made a pit stop. So has Matt Kenseth. Here comes Michael Waltrip, surrendering 4th place out of this race, as the number of drivers who have not pitted now is down to about 11, Matt.
Still waiting for the 99 of Carl Edwards, a 15 of Michael Waltrip in. Significant wedge adjustment, and he is away.
And of the 12 to 15 cars that have pitted, we've seen all over the place strategy. We've seen a lot of 4 tires, we've seen some 2 tires, and in the case of Ryan Newman, in the 12, fuel only, who's running right now back in the 14th spot.
Well, now, if you're one of those 2 leaders, Carl Edwards or Brian Vickers, Darrell, what do you want when you come in?
I got to get 4. I got a big enough lead. It's kind of like Biffle was at Dover last week. We're not at Dover, by the way. But we'll find out right here. But I got to get 4.
Larry, you agree? Disagree?
I think I'm like Darrell. With this far to go, 18 laps to go, I like those 4 tires. Just need no mistakes, though.
Let's find out what Brian Vickers will do. Steve?
Lance McGrew saying, don't speed. Come on down here. Hit your marks. They talked about taking 2 tires. Let's see what they do.
Well, they're going to do 2, Steve, because there's no tires on the wall.
Yeah, Brian Vickers saying his car is just a little bit tight off, DW, so 2 tires for Brian Vickers.
8 seconds, tires and fuel. So it saved them 6 to 7 seconds not taking the left side. We'll see if that's enough.
But now this is the first time I'm pretty sure that the 25 car has only changed just right side tires, which could certainly change the handling characteristics of that car if they did make adjustments to go with it.
And the 99, he just trucks along here. Got a pretty good lead right now.
But we know with changing only 2 right side tires, Brian Vickers, like a lot of the others, will stay on the lead lap here as we have 17 to go.
So the cars, significant cars that have not pitted, include Kurt Busch, Terry Labonte, Dale Jarrett, Rusty Wallace, and his teammate Travis Quaffle.
The other thing about Brian Vickers, he called in there a little bit ago, and he wasn't real happy with his race car. So 2 tires may not help him.
Well, I need to back up. On the second caution on lap 45, Brian Vickers with several others did do 2 right sides, so they have some experience.
Big break up, lock up for Dave Blaney as he struggles to get down to pit road speed.
I think he flattened that tire coming to pit road. He had it locked up for a long way.
They'll have to change four as much as he had those tires locked up.
You know, after being involved in the Jason Leffler crash, Blaney had done a great job of keeping that car up on the lead lap all day.
Now, right now, Kurt Busch in the 97 car has not pitted yet. He's our second place car. Elliott Sadler in the 38, who you just saw go by him, remember, had that pit road speeding penalty. He is a lap down in the 38 car.
Steve?
Yeah, Mike, just heard Lance McGrew tell Brian Vickers they had a right rear tire going down, which is a big break for them. It didn't go completely down, but it also may explain, as DW said, why he was not handling that well.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried about that, Steve, because he was complaining about his car, and you only give him 2 tires.
And here's trouble. Tony Stewart with a left front down and shredded, but he is down there on the access road and out of harm's way.
Here comes our leader.
Nevertheless, here comes Edwards.
Boy.
Good job. You see the mark headed out, headed in, and in.
Carl Edwards brings it into a stop. Look for a 2-tire change on the 99. Bobby Hudson told him his RPM so he wouldn't speed. A slight stall as he exits. Good stop by the 99 guys.
Yeah, very close to Vickers' stop in time.
I think Vickers forced their hand. He forced them to change 2 tires. Remember, that was the very first green flag pit stop Carl Edwards has ever made at Pocono.
So Kurt Busch picks up the lead as Terry Labonte has climbed the board to 3rd place. And now Labonte makes his final stop of the day in the 44. Dale Jarrett up the board, and Tony Stewart has made it around to pit road and back to his pit. There's Labonte leaving. He's had a great run today after getting caught up in Kurt Busch's spin at lap 30, the first caution flag of the day. Labonte's been a lead lap car all day.
Yeah, and he's been in the top 12 or 15 most of the day. Here's Stewart down on the access road, and gosh, looked like he took a can opener to that fender.
And that is the second problem he's had today with the left front. So our leader, Kurt Busch, is on pit road now in the 97 car, as well as Greg Biffle in the 16, who's several laps down.
Here, 2 tires, 2.
Jimmy Fennick calling for right sides. Dick?
They might ought to also change the left front, Mike. That left front on car number 97 is virtually flat. I don't think there's 5 pounds of air in it.
Wow. Rusty Wallace is in. I think that may leave just Travis Quaffle among the drivers who have not pitted, and Dale Jarrett.
Here goes Carl by Dale Jarrett, who was running second. Who's Carl in the second?
14 laps to go as we finish up green flag pit stops. NASCAR on Fox, presented by Subway. Goodyear's Airships, the popular blimps, celebrating their 80th birthday this year. This is the spirit of Goodyear, giving you these pictures of Pocono Raceway. Travel with peace of mind on Goodyear's new Assurance tires. You're looking at Carl Edwards. Dave Blaney, the second car in the picture. Where is Brian Vickers? Where is Brian Vickers?
There he is. He just comes into view about halfway down the back.
3 seconds behind Edwards. Evidently, the 2 tires worked better for Edwards' car than they have for Vickers, because Carl has opened up more than a second on Brian since they came out of the pits.
And it could also been how Carl Edwards got on the pit road and off of pit road before, you know, the pit road speeding area. That could have been a big part of it.
I watched Carl. He was very conservative coming in because they had warned him, and I think that was wise. Vickers was pretty conservative himself.
Just be smooth. Keep hitting your marks, bud. You're doing great. 576. 9 to go. 35 behind.
Matt Kenseth just made another pit stop. He had been in 10 laps ago for tires.
That last lap with 9 to go, Carl Edwards in the 99 beat Brian Vickers by a half a second.
Wow.
And they're throttling him back right now. Taking it easy, hit your marks. It happens sometimes. You slow down and all of a sudden your lap times pick up.
Edwards started the day pretty dejected. He went to Nashville last night, stayed through a long rain delay, and did not get to run the Busch Series race. Came here to Pocono with his eye on the bigger prize, and he may go to victory lane here, trying to give Jack Roush his first ever Pocono win.
2 out of 5 ain't bad.
But just remember, Greg Biffle, he was up there running at the front, had brake problems. Matt Kenseth, as well as Kurt Busch, has had tire issues.
So everyone has made their final pit stop. There's 8 laps to go. Edwards has a 4-second lead on Brian Vickers. Mark Martin another 4 seconds back. Kyle Busch 10.5 seconds off the lead. Joe Nemechek 12 back. And Ryan Newman, that gas-only strategy paid off pretty well for Newman. He is in 6th place ahead of Michael Waltrip, Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, and Jamie McMurray.
And of our top 4 right now, Edwards, Vickers, Martin, and Busch, as we've got 8 to go, Martin is the only car that changed 4 tires. Busch, Vickers, and Edwards, 2 right sides only. And Joe Nemechek in the 01 did 4 tires.
And Mark, there's Mark. Oh, just as consistent as they come. 6 second place finishes right now, running 3rd. And another good Pocono event for Mark Martin.
You know, Martin came in here 6th in the points, matching his car number. He's going to be in the chase for the next Nextel Cup.
He's working on it.
Made that big gain after Dover, after finishing 3rd, went from 12th to 6th just in that one race in the points.
You saw Matt Kenseth coming back out of the pits. He's just stopped for the 3rd time in 10 laps, trying to make it to the finish. Battle for 6th place heating up.
Yeah, Michael is he's pushing Ryan Newman down the front here.
And Jeff Gordon has had such an up and down day, but now climbed to 11th. Here's that battle for 6th.
And remember, like you mentioned, Mike, 12, Ryan Newman, fuel only. Michael Waltrip in the Napa 15 car did get 2 right side tires on that Chevrolet.
Still going to be a pretty good day for Mikey. Running there in 7th. Got a shot at getting by Newman here for 6th. Started on the pole, led a lot of laps. Not a bad day's work.
Yeah, Michael led 29 laps today. That's almost as much as he's led at Pocono in his entire career.
Let's talk about our points leader, Jimmy Johnson, in the 48 car. He's back in 8th position. Chad Knaus decided to go with 4 tires. Now, he would need a caution because he's 19 seconds behind leader Carl Edwards. But considering Greg Biffle, who came in here 2nd points, had the brake issue, Elliott Sadler 3rd coming in here back in 21st with a penalty. Ryan Newman has a tire problem. That will bring a caution out, I'm about sure. Caution is out with 6 to go.
Left front.
Carl Edwards did not need that. Brian Vickers did not need that.
I think it just, that's, I'm not sure what happened, if it's left front or right front, but nonetheless, that's why I think tires would have been helpful.
The left front's down, Darrell, and that's the 2nd time it's happened to Newman today.
Keep it rolling. Steering's broke, I'm done.
Steering's broke, he's done.
And Newman came in here 4th in the points.
And was running in 6th place, just ahead of Michael Waltrip. There it goes.
When she goes, it locks it. I mean, you can't turn the car. Then he bangs into that soft barrier.
And Darrell, that's one of the fastest part of the racetrack, turning off into turn 1.
Yeah, you're already on the brakes.
And remember, he did gas only almost 50 laps ago. Well, he did 4 tires at lap 148, got the gas only.
Clear, clear, clear. Ooh, hold on.
Yeah.
No caution yet.
Michael Waltrip was almost too close.
Caution is out.
Well, here's the one that just about, watch this right here. Here
Mike
comes
Wallace.
the 4 car, and yo. Now, Larry, how many tires do you wish you had on that stop while ago?
I wished right now that I was in that 6 car, Mark Martin, who has 4 fresh tires,
and
fairly fresh tires.
And the 48, didn't he get 4?
Yes. Joe Nemechek in the 01, 4 as well.
Good news, Ryan Newman walks away. Look at the drivers who have had problems with left front tires today. And how many. Now, Casey Kane's first one was due to contact, and Tony Stewart's, we're told, was due to contact, but the rest due to setup, abuse, where they're running on the racetrack, or whatever.
I think what everybody's finally figured out, and I think at the end of the day what they're going to say is it's those rumble strips. running that left front tire over those rumble strips is what's really tearing the tire apart.
And Darrell, don't you do that especially here at turn 2 because you're trying to widen out that corner, and look at the rumble strip here. Look how much rubber has been deposited on that corduroy or alligator teeth, whatever you'd like to call it. There's a lot of rubber down there, and on and off as you go over those transitions and the car rumbles. That's got to be just a horrible transition to the tire. It sticks, it's in air, it sticks, it's in air. How many hundred times a second?
Well, what it's doing is making the tire vibrate almost, and it's dragging that tire across those rumble strips and tearing the sidewall up.
Now, what I do know with 23 cars on the lead lap, we'll probably only get 2 or 3 laps of racing here. Your hand is forced. Whether you have 2 or 4 at the front, I think you have to stay out. As you see, Carl Edwards in the 99 did stay out.
One reason they put those in was to keep us out of the dirt.
Right.
We used to throw rocks out in the racetrack over there and cut tires down. So they added those strips to the inside to keep you out of the dirt.
That's right. Show me more pavement, I'm going there.
Exactly.
Sure.
It looks like what we're seeing is cars that were back in the pack, like Elliott Sadler in the 38, Jeremy Mayfield in the 19, Bobby Labonte in the 18, all making pit stops here.
Now, these are all cars from 13th on back that are stopping. 4 laps to go.
I think if we get down, Larry, to where it's a green-white checkered, tires may not be a big issue, but if we get us a 3 or 4 lap shootout here, they could turn out to be the difference.
Well, Darrell, they didn't give 1 to go. So if they gave 1 to go next time by, it would be a 2-lap shootout. Yeah.
But Darrell, how many times here you pull a fairly high gear here? These guys, especially Carl Edwards, Brian Vickers, had to be so careful not to spin their tires on this restart on those older tires.
Yeah, I think more than that, spinning tires is always an issue, but don't miss any shifts. Remember Jeff Gordon here a few years ago leading the race, come down for a late restart, missed a shift, cost him a race.
Let's look ahead to next weekend at Michigan International Speedway. Nextel Cup final practice on speed Friday afternoon, as is the Craftsman Truck Series race, following which you'll see Bud Pohl qualifying on FX and the NASCAR Busch Series Saturday night at Kentucky on FX. Our Nextel Cup race presented on Fox by America Online Sunday right here, 1:30 p.m.
Well, Elliott Sadler, the 38 car, came in here 3rd in points. His problems continue. He may have fresh tires, but he's going to have to go to the tail end of the longest line, speeding, leaving pit road. But Steve Burns, how about our 2nd place crew chief?
And that's Lance McGrew. And Lance, I know that 99 car is fast, but your driver's done a good job.
Yeah, we have done I can't be more proud of this team. Diatech.com Chevrolet has run awesome all day. The pit stops have been incredible. Like I said, we're building right now, and to keep coming back to the racetrack and keep being in contention for wins, eventually we're going to win one of these things. We just have to keep doing what we're doing.
I heard you tell Brian, big picture, but you think he's got a shot to get past that 99?
I mean, there's always a chance, but I tell you what, that he was laying down some lap times there at the end of that last green flag segment. I just hope we can finish this thing off.
Thank you.
Vickers trying to win for the first time ever. Edwards trying for his 2nd win of the season, following his dramatic last lap pass of Jimmy Johnson at Atlanta Motor Speedway, a move that Johnson put in his memory bank and used to good effect in the Coca-Cola 600. A big day for Carl Edwards, a big weekend coming on the heels of his first Busch Series win the day before. And the fans at Atlanta got to see the backflip 2 days in a row. What about today? All right, we've talked to the crew chief for Brian Vickers, and we listened in on Carl Edwards.
Concentrate on not spinning the tires on this start, baby. One concern could be the 25 trying to motor under us in 1, Carl.
Let's check with Matt.
And you heard Bobby Hudson, the spotter. So how is this going to shake out, Bob Osborne?
Well, he's going to get an awesome restart. We're going to win this race.
And you cautioned him about not spinning the tires on the restart.
Yeah, I will here. But yeah, we're keeping him under control, keeping him calm, and giving him every caution that we can think of.
Kind of makes you think back to, like you mentioned, DW, when Jeff Gordon missed that shift. The guy that went on to victory lane, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it his teammate, Terry Labonte?
I think you might be right. That just sticks out of my mind. I know it cost him a win. But the other thing I like, Larry, they have surrounded this young man with Bobby Hudson, who has been around a long time. He's seen every possible scenario played out. He's given Carl great feedback, great information here. Watch for this. Think about this. They're really keeping him under control, and I like that.
They're keeping it under control. Bob Osborne, his crew chief, Bobby Hudson, are always calm on the radio with Carl Edwards. Now, since we'll be under 10 laps to go, this will be a down finger single file restart.
So let's show you the lead lap cars. Edwards, of course, the leader in the Stonebridge Life Ford. Brian Vickers, the 25 in second, the 6 of Mark Martin third, the 5 of Kyle Busch is fourth. Another rookie trying for his first win in fifth. Sarge, Joe Nemechek, celebrating the Army's anniversary. Pole sitter Michael Waltrip. Michael led 29 laps today. He is sixth, and they have waved off the restart for one more lap. Jimmy Johnson, who came in here the Nextel Cup leader in the Lowe's Chevrolet, is seventh. Kevin Harvick has been up and down and all over the leaderboard today in the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet. He is eighth. Jamie McMurray, Texaco, Haviland Dodge, is ninth. Jeff Gordon started out back. He's climbed up into the top 10, trying to gain max points and finish a race for the first time in 4 weeks. And Terry Labonte in the top 11, along with Rusty Wallace, Dale Jarrett, Kenny Schrader, Jeremy Mayfield, and Jeff Green. They're all lead lap cars, as are Travis Quaffle, Casey Mears, Bobby Labonte, Sterling Marlin, Jeff Burton, and Elliott Sadler.
And no matter what happens, Hendrick and Roush have won all the races this year but one. And Hendrick and Roush is going to win this race. One of their cars is. All the races except two, I'm sorry.
Well, they have the first 4 spots, but a lot can happen here in 2 laps. This is the Pocono zone after all. Matt?
In Jack Roush standing up on top of the 99 pit box. Now, Carl Edwards' bigger concern is not the 25 of Vickers, but the 6 of Martin, his teammate. 4 fresh tires, but also they feel like that the 6 is better than the 25. They're expecting the 6 to make a run. It just depends on how long it takes Martin, if he can get around the 25, to get there to take his shot.
And just remember, as we've been pointing out, of our top 4 cars, Mark Martin in the 6th, sitting there in third. The Viagra car, he's the only car that has the fresher left side tires to go with the rights.
Steve?
Lance McGrew just told Brian Vickers, if you have a shot to get past that 99, go ahead and take it, but don't take it in a spot where if you don't make the pass, you lose 10 spots in the process.
Big picture racing.
Well, I think really and truly what it's going to come down to is this guy right here, the 25, how aggressively is he going to try to hold up Mark Martin? Because I got to believe Mark Martin's going to have a big advantage with the tires he's got.
The last 10 races here, we'd have 9 different winners. No one in the top 6 right now has been to victory lane at Pocono.
So that string should continue. Who will it be? Carl Edwards for win number 2. Brian Vickers breaking his duck, scoring his first victory in Nextel Cup. Or Mark Martin to get Jack Roush's first ever Pocono win. Green-white checker as we begin lap 200.
Carl got that good start. He jumped out there just far enough that he should be in good shape.
Pretty clean restart for everyone. Single foul off into turn 1.
Here comes Mark. He's looking to the inside of the 25. Kenny Schrader's up in the wall. Kenny Schrader's
Looked like the 25 wiggled and Mark Martin wiggled. Mark lost a lot of ground. He's got a lot of pressure from Kyle Busch in the 5. He wants that 3rd position as well.
Wow.
Now Schrader keeps going. That will not force a caution, we don't think. Lap and a half to go. Ryan Newman released from the care center.
I believe Mark Martin's got a problem. Got a car in the wall. It's Bobby Labonte in turn 2.
Caution. At lap 199, caution is out, and we are going to have to check with NASCAR to see if we have already entered the green flag checker scenario. So caution comes out with the white.
We get one shot at a green-white checkered.
And the question will be, did we already have it when the green came out with 2 to go?
Well, Carl Edwards thinks we did. Now, you get one attempt, and then
that was the one attempt.
Exactly.
That was the one attempt.
I mean, that should be the race.
It is. The green flag waved to begin lap 200. which meant that we were already into overtime. So that started the
down the racetrack, cross start finish line, then come all the way back around.
That started the green-white checker scenario, and if the caution comes out after that green flag, the field is frozen at the timing line just passed, and the order of finish determined.
And who that really benefited was Mark Martin, because we're getting a report he did have a flat tire. Remember, the field was frozen the minute the caution was displayed.
However, and there is a however, Larry, I believe Mark will have to come across the finish line in order to retain his position.
You have to maintain caution speed, and you have to cross the start-finish line. You heard him telling Carl Edwards, make sure you cross the start-finish line another time. There you see Mark right there. I think he'll be okay, and he'll make it.
So Schrader wrecks in turn 1, but keeps going. Bobby Labonte crashes in turn 2, and the race is over. So let's see, Darrell, let's review. Who'd you pick for today?
That 99 car. I just had, his spotter and I, we had a little meeting before the race started. And I said, how good are you? And he said, DW, I think he can win this race. I said, he's a rookie.
But he just came to the TV booth to tell you. I told you, DW.
Right. He was right on.
He stuck his head in there for a second.
Yeah, Bobby Hudson, great job for everybody on that team. Fantastic.
We'll take the checker flag this time, and then you do whatever you want, buddy.
And I don't know if I tell Carl Edwards that or not. Because we know one thing he's going to do. He's going to bring that bad boy right back here to the start and finish line and do a little backflip.
And I think these fans know that's what he's going to do.
Win number 2 for Carl Edwards in his Nextel Cup career. Brand new sponsor on the car, Stonebridge Life Insurance. And their maiden voyage will send them to victory lane. First Pocono win ever for Jack Roush. And I'll tell you, a career day for Brian Vickers. Drove a great race today, held on for second place after leading the most laps today and having a terrific run. We're told that Bobby Labonte did climb out of his car. He is okay, and I believe Ken Schrader has made it back around to take the checkered flag in 20th position after bouncing off the wall.
I guess Carl won't feel too bad about missing that Nashville race today now.
Not anymore.
This is a much bigger fish he caught here.
And we're still awaiting final results because NASCAR will need to determine where the cars were when the caution came out. But a great run for those two cars had to start at the rear of the field. Kyle Busch in the 5, Jeff Gordon in the 24. Looks like they'll have top 10 finishes.
Now, we talked about the timing loops at the 12 points around the racetrack, which are used to determine restart order. In a case like this, where a caution freezes the field for the finish, then NASCAR will look at photographic and video evidence to determine the exact order of finish at the moment of caution, rather than relying strictly on the timing loops. But there is no question that Carl Edwards is the winner. Brian Vickers finishes second. Joe Nemechek is on the board in third. Kyle Busch in fourth, and Mark Martin shows as fifth.
For a guy after Atlanta that was up there, what, Larry, in the top 2 or 3 in points, then he went through a real bad run of races there where he fell back to, what, like 14th. This is a great turnaround for him.
Speaking of turnaround, the whole crew comes out to greet him. And Carl Edwards gets win number 2.
I think that looked a little better than Atlanta back.
Oh yeah, he had time to think about that one.
Oh my God. Had never seen this racetrack until Friday morning.
Carl Edwards gains 5 positions in the Nextel Cup standings to 4th with his victory at Pocono today. Edwards scores the biggest come from behind victory in Pocono history from 29th to 1st.
Welcome to the Nextel Post-Race Show. Brought to you by Nextel, helping NASCAR groups get things done. NASCAR and Nextel, partners in speed. Back here at Pocono, 25-year-old Carl Edwards started the furthest back in the field than any Pocono Nextel winner, 29th before pulling into victory lane. He's already done the flip. Let's go down to victory lane and Matt Yoakum.
9 times in NASCAR competition, he's done the flip. Exciting all of the times, but what's more special for you, getting your first win here at Pocono or getting Jack Roush his first win here at Pocono?
Wow, I didn't realize this was Jack Roush's first win, but that's a real emotional win for me for some reason. I just, it means a lot to me. The trophy's going to this little kid, David. I met him, he's not a little kid, he's about to graduate high school, but that trophy's going to him. I got to thank Stonebridge Life Insurance Company. Boy, a couple times through a tunnel turn, I thought I was going to need to call him, but this place is awesome. Office Depot, World Financial Group, Scott's, AAA. The Ford engines are awesome.
What about the pit crew?
Oh, yeah, and 100% my guys, they won this race. They were perfect, flawless on pit road, and I can't describe. It means a lot. Super Chips, National Guard. I got so many sponsors. Boleys. I never wear my Boleys. So.
But I guess this makes up for missing the Busch race in Nashville.
Yeah, we missed the Busch race with the Charter Ford. Congratulations to Kurt Boyer. Congratulations to Hank Parker for running well. I don't even know what to say, man. This is unbelievable. We won at Pocono. I can't believe this. This is
your first time here. You've never even been here before until Friday.
No, I got to thank the guys that make those computer games. That helped a lot. I really have to thank Mark Martin and Kurt Busch and everyone out there. We've got awesome competitors here. Just Jack Roush has given me an opportunity, and we're going to make the most of it. We're going to be in that top 10.
Certainly make the most of it. Going to victory lane here at Pocono for the first time in his career in his very first Pocono start.
And giving some credit to video games. They told my kids to stop playing those things.
That's cheating. I mean, Darrell Waltrip, may have picked him as a winner today, but he told me he'd never raced here before. That's not fair.
Part of the younger generation. I mean, look, we had 20-year-old Kyle Busch, 21-year-old Brian Vickers finishing second, led 121 laps most of his career, and Steve Burns is with Brian Vickers. Steve?
Thanks, Chris. Brian, you did a fabulous job. Chris Myers just noting you led 121 laps. Was there any scenario in which you could have got by that 99 car?
On a long run, no. If the caution would have come out in time to come in and take 4 tires with the phenomenal work this GMAC Chevy pit crew team was doing all day, and we could have beat them off pit road, and we were better than those guys on a short run. But on a long run, man, congratulations to them. Carl was, and that whole team did a great job. But I can't say enough for this 525 shop. The opportunity the Hendrick family has given me. All of our supporters, Diatech.com, Garnier, GM. It's gone a long ways, and we're really just getting the opportunity to show it. Lance, Brian Weitzel, guys doing an awesome job. Make great pit calls all day. We're building something here. We're not after just one victory this year. We're after to build on something that we can win championships with.
Brian, quickly, is this a good confidence boost for the driver?
It's a good confidence booster for this whole team. It's awesome to see this 25 car around in front all day. It's a confidence booster for me, but for everybody in this shop, this new 25-5 shop. Congratulations to Kyle, the 5 car. All those guys did an awesome job today too. We had 2 top 5 cars coming out of that shop, and we're proud of that.
Congratulations, Chris Myers.
Thanks, Steve. So after 11 second-place finishes at Pocono, Jack Roush in victory lane for the first time. And as we check out the points, Jimmy Johnson's still your leader. It's 11 straight races now. But look, 3 of the top 5 are Roush Fords. Tony Stewart now 10th. Jeff Ford with a top 10 finish today, hanging in there at 9th. Jeff Hammer, we look. And look, Dale Jarrett, where's Dale Earnhardt Jr., who came in, look, he's out of the chase for the Cup as he entered today and needed to make up ground. He lost ground.
He lost ground. That's what we've been talking about.
Dick Bergman is standing by with Dale Earnhardt Jr. Dick?
Well, Junior 34th today, now 503 points out. New crew chief, what do you do next?
Keep going, I guess. You've been around long enough to know that. We just had some bad luck. We had them 2 flat tires, and they were really nothing we could do to help that. I mean, it's maybe the tire had too much camber and chunked the tire out and made it go flat. But we had 2 flat tires, and that was pretty much the end of the day. After that, we got 5 laps down, so wasn't no point. I mean, it was going to be impossible, nearly impossible to make those up. The car wasn't terrible, but we didn't have a race car to be real competitive, but we could have worked on it.
Will there be any more crew changes or motor changes or car changes?
I'm probably not the person to ask, but hopefully there ain't no driver changes. That's all I'm worried about.
I think you're secure.
Thanks, Dick. Nice to see he maintains his sense of humor in the face of a tough day for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now, this is not supposed to be a racetrack for rookies. Explain this to me. Except for Joe Nemechek, the top 4, 3 of the top 4 had a total of 2 prior starts here between the 3 of them.
I think some of the veterans came in here with a bad attitude. Pocono's not being any fun. We got that old high gear. We can't shift anymore. I think they were defeated before they ever started. Where the young guy, and I'm really mad about something.
What's up?
Carl Edwards is playing video games to learn how to drive a race car, and me and Hammond, we went around here in a rental car. Now, how am I supposed to compete with that? Great job, Carl. I'm proud of you. That kid is on it.
Yeah, I mean, and just we talked about it. Just remember, he had never seen Pocono except through virtue of a video game until probably Friday morning. But I don't think we ever figured that Pocono would shake the points up as much as it did. It's a long way to Richmond at the end of August, but boy, did it really shake the points up with 4 of the top 5 coming into Pocono having huge problems today.
Well, Chris, it reminds me of something we said earlier in the telecast. These rookies don't know what they don't know, so they'll try it. And today it worked.
And DW knew, 4-time winner here. He picked, of course, Carl Edwards. We also want to wish Van Colley had some surgery, a get-well friend of NASCAR on Fox. Also, Daryl Harmon, part of our technical team. Good to have him back working with our Fox team. And Jack Roush, the only tracks he hasn't won at now, Chicagoland, Indianapolis, and Kansas. Carl Edwards helping him take care of Pocono. Cross that off the list. We'll talk to Joe Nemechek when we come back. Carl Edwards moving up 5 positions in points after coming in first. Brian Vickers winding up second. Joe Nemechek was third, and celebrating John Hunter, his son's birthday, turned 8. He's with our Steve Burns. Steve?
That's right, Chris. So happy birthday to John Hunter. Happy birthday to the United States Army, which turned 230, and a podium finish for Joe Nemechek.
It's definitely about time. You know, this whole U.S. Army team, these guys have fought hard all year, and we're trying to get the wins. I mean, we've come so close. California, Charlotte on Memorial Day weekend, that was a heartbreaker. And today we just missed the setup at the beginning. We went way to the back. Ryan Pemberton made some good calls. We adjusted every stop. The pit crew, fast stops, and we had to earn our way back to the front. So a third-place finish is very redeeming.
And Joe, talking with Ryan Pemberton yesterday, he said, you know, we could have won 2, maybe 3 races this year, so it's going to happen.
Well, it definitely is. That's what's disappointing. We've had really good race cars and just had some terrible finishes, and the finishes and where we are in the point standings sure does not show how good this team is, and we're going to win soon.
Congratulations. Good run, Joe.
Thank you.
All right, as we look at the unofficial results, you see rounding out the top 10, Jeff Hammond, some thoughts. People that you're not seeing up there, Greg Biffle, who wound up 30th. We heard from Junior, who was 33rd, Tony Stewart, 29th.
But, Chris, I'm really surprised that Jimmy Johnson, he dominated so much here a year ago, swept this racetrack, never led a lap. Jeff Gordon also, you know, always strong. And you felt like, you know, this might be an opportunity for these guys to kind of shine, but they struggled because of either the impound race or the lack of shifting, one of the two.
Carl Edwards, who again started 29th, battled his way all the way through to win the Pocono 500 on his first try. Very, very impressive. Also want to send regards to Dave Hill, our lead technical producer, who's moving on to other projects for now. His last race with us will be at Michigan next week, and after that in Sonoma. So we've got through 14 races, and you can see the intensity at that border of the chase for the Nextel Cup. You know, might we have more than 10 drivers who make that final cut as we get towards that 26 mark cutoff point?
If they don't pick up the pace, no, you're going to have the 5 guys in the top 10 right now. So a lot of guys have got a lot of work to do. We talked about today, this 13 races to the cutoff at Richmond. So today was going to either be a lucky day or an unlucky day. Lucky for Carl Edwards, very unlucky once again, I think, for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Took another big hit. If he plans to climb back up in there, this team has got to go back home and make a huge turnaround. Right now, Carl Edwards is showing everybody that, hey, I don't care where I go, whether I had practice or not. As long as this race car works like it's supposed to, I can win.
Well, and the dominance continuing with Roush Racing, 7 victories so far this year, and Hendrick Motorsports, and we saw them both dominate in this race.
And when it comes to impound races, Roush has won 5 of them. So, Chris, the communication between all these teams is working right now. They're finishing up in the top 10 like they're supposed to. They're winning races, and they're also in the middle of this chase for the championship.
We'll be moving on to Michigan Friday on Speed. Nextel Final Cup practice. Saturday, the Craftsman Truck Series also on Speed. Bud Pole qualifying from Michigan on FX. And the Busch Series from Kentucky, 7:30 Eastern next Saturday on FX. And then next Sunday, it'll be Father's Day, 1:30 Eastern, the Hollywood Hotel on location. Our entire crew heads to Michigan to bring you NASCAR racing. Want to thank DW, Larry Mack, Mike Joy, our pit people, Dick Bergman, already on his motorcycle, headed home. Steve Burns, Matt Yoakum, for Jeff Hammond, our entire production crew. I'm Chris Myers from the Hollywood Hotel. You have a good week. We'll see you next weekend from Michigan. Thanks for watching NASCAR on Fox.